Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
How are you doing this fine Wednesday evening, Grump?
Pretty good. Pretty good. How about you?
Not bad. You know, it could be, well, actually, I could be better. You know, for those of you who are new to the channel and new to the show, welcome. This is a twice a week All Islanders podcast that takes place. What days does this podcast take place, Grump?
Wednesdays and Saturdays at like 8:20 p.m.
No, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the channel, there's a few things we require you. No, we send a cordial invitation today, because of the dire importance of today, we require that you subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. It's to make sure you don't miss out on any of the content we provide. Again, as we mentioned, we go live twice a week, every Wednesday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking all things New York Islanders. And also, if you enjoy this content, the best way to let us know is by leaving a thumbs up. Apparently, that helps the algorithm get mine and the Grumpy Old Man's word out to the masses. Today, or I guess another housekeeping item always to talk about, is we have a secondary podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Now, that podcast takes place every single Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you give that a check out. It is an all sports podcast. Again, we talk anything and everything sports on that show. We talk NHL, NFL, MLB, NBA, college athletics, March Madness, world football, anything and everything sports on that show. I host the show with the Grumpy Old Man and the magnificent Son X. Just a whole bunch of hot takes, fun and hot takes across the board on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. Again, Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You could find that link in the description below or as a featured page on our YouTube channel. Yes,
very true.
Before we get talking too much about, I guess what's at hand, it's good to kind of give an update on the landscape, at least for the NHL playoff picture, because I feel that is where all eyes are currently gravitating towards. Will the Islanders make the postseason? Will they get the 7 seed? Will they get the 8 seed? There's a lot of that's surrounding, the current viewpoint. To give you an update, yesterday, the Florida Panthers beat the Buffalo Sabres 2-1 in regulation. You also had the New Jersey Devils kicking the living snot out of the miserable Pittsburgh Penguins. The Devils beat the Penguins 5-1. Also, for Hurricanes, they did manage to squeak out a victory against the Ottawa Senators, a 3-2 overtime victory for the Hurricanes over the Ottawa Senators. And we're going to go ahead and pop up here in a second what the actual viewpoint looks like for this year's playoff picture.
Go ahead. The suspense is like it's palpable at this point in time.
Grumpy, is there anything you wanted to say about the games yesterday, maybe as I'm pulling that up?
Well, not really. Tristan Jarry, I thought you were going to post up some of his tremendous stats as well.
I don't have his stats, but.
Well, I know he gave up 2 goals on his first 4 shots yesterday. I know a lot of people in Islander country are concerned that the Islanders will not make the playoffs. Hey, Tristan Jarry is like, I don't know, like Christmas every single day of the year for the Islanders.
He is awful. I mean, that's the nicest way you could put it. Tristan Jarry is a miserable goaltender. And at this point, the memes are going around that they're going to go ahead and start hanging his jersey up in the Islanders' rafters in no time at all.
Yep. He's better for the Islanders than Josh Bailey's ever been. That's for certain.
Okay. You wanted to go ahead and look at these. Here are the standings, Grumpy. I know you. I'm waiting to hear your input, Grump, as to what happened yesterday's games, right? Obviously, the Florida Panthers are now ahead of us in the standings, right?
I'm not concerned.
We have 4 games left remaining. The Florida Panthers are ahead of us. We've got the Pittsburgh Penguins 1 point behind us. But as of right now, and again, there's still 4 games left. A lot can happen in 4 games. But we currently would be facing up against the Boston Bruins in the first round of the playoffs.
I'll just say that's a less than stellar scenario for us in the playoffs going forward. Is that safe to say? Playing Boston in the first round is probably not the thing you want to do. But hey, you got to beat everybody to go win a Stanley Cup, so you might as well take the biggest bully on the block right now, right?
Yeah. We've got a tough game on Thursday, but we'll break down the Islander schedule. We'll break down the Florida Panthers schedule and Pittsburgh schedule. It's kind of shitty that at this point of the season, right, you're just really schedule watching and you're watching every other team because, right, destiny is technically, right, we're in the driver's seat. We're ahead of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But if we struggle down the stretch, we don't make the postseason. It's that simple, right?
Okay. Do you have any faith in these other two teams to run the table?
When you start looking at their schedules, it's going to be honestly, it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a dogfight down to the end. Now, I expect the Islanders to make the postseason. As I've said before, you're getting a lot of people looking, I think, for shock value on social media. Phil's facts, you know who I'm talking about, Phil. I think people looking for shock value, making crazy. Oh, hey, the Islanders aren't making it out. I'm on board. The Islanders will make the postseason. They've got the best goalie out of any of these teams remaining on the board. And we talk about, right, sometimes a goalie can steal you a playoff game or so. Your goalie can also steal you regular season games. And that's what Sorokin's had to do pretty much the entirety of the season. I do still feel confident the New York Islanders are going to make the postseason.
We have the easiest schedule. We're playing better than these other teams. Florida, I think Florida will make it. I just don't see Pittsburgh being anywhere close to good enough defensively where they're going to make the playoffs. I just can't see it. All right, I figure we'll probably lose to Tampa. I think we can probably lose 2 games the rest of the way and still make the playoffs. If we go 500, I think we still make the playoffs.
Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and jump into that right now. Pittsburgh's got an easy remaining schedule, Grump. I know they're behind us. They have a miserable goalie, which will pop up. I was hoping that was going to show me immediately into their schedule. But they've got here remaining. They've got the Minnesota Wild.
That's a loss.
Now, that's the Minnesota's really banged up at this point.
That's a loss. They play defense. Pittsburgh doesn't. That's a loss. That's a loss.
Okay.
Next.
The Detroit Red Wings.
Loss. That's a loss. Tristan Jarry will be playing in net that day. That's a loss. 0-2. What's next?
Yeah, I just think you're sadly confused here with this at the end. They've got then the Chicago Blackhawks.
They've lost them already this year. I'll give them the win. So they'll go 2-2, right? Let's say they go 2-2 down the stretch.
They've got
they don't catch us.
Okay, 3 of the teams they're playing are sub 500 teams. 3 of the last 4 games are against sub 500 teams.
We're the same boat, right?
We'll again, we're going to pop up schedule by schedule. I think that, right, Pittsburgh has an easy strength of schedule. Columbus is bad. Chicago is bad. The Red Wings, I think, are okay. They're nothing to write home about. 35 wins and 42 losses this year. And you've got your Minnesota, which is good. Minnesota's going to be a tough game. I don't think they're going to beat Minnesota. Minnesota is banged up, but I still think Minnesota wins on Thursday.
Okay. So that's a big game for them tomorrow.
Sure. And here's the thing, too. These games should mean a whole hell of a lot more for teams like Pittsburgh, the Islanders, the Florida Panthers, than they should a team like the Minnesota Wild, who've already clinched a playoff spot.
NHL's a little bit different, though. It seems like when teams are eliminated, they really revel being spoilers.
Well, the Wild aren't eliminated. They've already guaranteed themselves a spot in the postseason.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the other 3 teams. So maybe they'll go 1-3. Maybe they'll beat Minnesota and lose to the 3 easy teams. I just have no faith in Pittsburgh at all. None. They lose so many games. Oh, that's a win, and they wind up losing that game. Going away. I have no – they're done. I already read them the eulogy.
They're 1 point behind us with 4 games remaining, and you still feel extremely confident. I'm saying it's a possibility, right? They could definitely overtake. That schedule's easy, Grumpy. That is a Charmin soft schedule the last 4 games of the year. Minnesota's a tough team, no doubt about it. But then you've got the Red Wings, which are a flawed team, and you've got 2 bottom 5 teams in Chicago, Grumpy, and Columbus.
Okay. They've already lost to Chicago this year.
Okay, when did they lose to Chicago?
Earlier in the year.
Okay, what are we talking about? 2022?
I think they've lost to Columbus as well. They're not a good team. They're a poor defensive team. Yesterday, they played the Devils. You figure, okay, They're in the driver's seat. They beat the Devils yesterday, and they got steamrolled because they're not any good. They play a team that puts up a little bit of force against them, and they just roll over and die. They're just not good enough.
I don't think Pittsburgh is. I think Pittsburgh doesn't have a goalie. I think they're a good team, but they just don't have a goalie.
Need one. You need one if you want to make the playoffs. That's my point. That's my point.
Here's the thing. You could dominate against the shit squads. You can play well against the shit squads. And I'm just saying they've got 3 bad teams, Grump, at the tail end of their schedule this year.
As do we.
Yeah. So I'm just again, we're taking it one at a time. Pittsburgh can win a few games. I don't see them going better than 3-1. They're not winning out. You don't have to worry about being perfect down the stretch because Pittsburgh is not winning out. I think best case scenario for Pittsburgh, they end up 3-1. Absolute best case scenario for them. So, hey, Islanders, come up with 3 wins, and I feel safe about Pittsburgh. Let's go ahead and look at the next. Let me pop that up on screen here for us. Let's look at the Florida Panthers, and then we'll look at the Islanders schedule. Florida Panthers just went ahead and beat the Buffalo Sabres. Not really shocked by that victory. Buffalo is a team that it's too early yet for them, if that makes sense.
They're not there yet.
You've got here the Florida Panthers. They've got the Ottawa Senators on Thursday.
Tough game.
What was that?
Tough game. Should win it, but it's a tough game. Ottawa's playing much better now.
Okay, so Ottawa's a tough game, but you think it's okay?
I think it's winnable. I think the games at home they should win.
This is a road game.
No, that's a home game.
You sure?
Ottawa at Panthers.
Okay, gotcha. My mistake. So that's a home game. Then they've got the Washington Capitals next. That's a Saturday game for them.
Should be a win at Washington. They could easily lose that game.
You can lose any game down the stretch. I'm just saying, right? We're just going over the strength of the schedule and the tough teams that are remaining. That's all this is, Grumpy. Then they've got the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now that's going to be okay. They just beat Toronto on the road a week ago. So this is going to be a home game for the Florida Panthers against Toronto. At this point, by Monday, because the result tonight, Tampa lost. They're down 3-1 or whatever. They were down 3-1 and they were down 3, or the game's not over yet. They're down 3-1 headed into the second period. If Tampa loses tonight, they'll be cemented in at the 3rd spot in their division. So the Toronto Maple Leafs will have the 2nd spot locked in. Do they come out there and play 100%? Do they go out there and
do they rest some guys?
Rest some guys with the last 2 games of the year. Or maybe they rest some players the first game and then some players the next game. I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't think that bodes well for our situation because I'm not sure how motivated that Toronto team is going to be. And maybe they will be motivated.
But unless you have guys who, normally don't play and, they're just playing with house money. Hey, let's show the higher ups what I can do out here. Maybe it backfires on the Panthers. I think they have on paper the toughest schedule of all 3 teams.
Sure. And then they've got Carolina the last game of the year. The only thing I worry about here with their schedule, right? They've got 2 of the easier opponents. They've got Ottawa, I think, is the easiest opponent they've got left.
Mm-hmm.
Washington is a team that, again, I think Washington's a gritty team. Washington's a team that's mailed it in a bit, but what Washington are you going to get? The only thing I worry about, the 2 toughest teams they have are the 2 last games of the season. And right, Carolina, by the last game of the year, by Thursday, April 13th, will be locked in already at that number 1 spot in our division, in the Metro Division. So they will have already locked that in at the number 2 seed for the Eastern Conference. So What type of team does Carolina field and what type of team does Toronto field? And I can promise you this much. If they field a subpar team, cue the Islander fans bitching and complaining that Toronto and Carolina is not trying to beat Florida in a meaningless game as they prepare for the postseason.
Play better during the regular season,
sure,
earlier in the year, and then you don't have anything to complain about. I mean, that's it. All the games count the same. And like I said, you never know.
And maybe they don't. Maybe they don't rest any players, right? That's also a possibility. They might not rest players.
I could see them absolutely Toronto resting players. And most probably Carolina.
I could definitely see Carolina with all the injuries they have resting players. Toronto, maybe. Toronto has played kind of poorly lately. Do you want to be in good form or do you want to have players rested for the postseason? That's
I
where
think
the question is, right?
I think you want to have guys, your big guys. I think you want to rest them.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean they can't win, because you put in some young guys who never get to play. All of a sudden, hey, this is my chance, and they're playing balls to the wall out there. So I mean, anything can happen. I'm just saying, on paper, Florida has a tougher schedule. I still think that Florida will qualify, because I have no faith in Pittsburgh at all. None.
I think Florida will make a postseason spot. Yes, I agree with that. Now let's look at and again, we keep talking about who's going to make or not. You haven't even seen our schedule yet, Grumpy. So let's go and lay everything out before we go ahead and start jumping into who's making and who's not. But we've got the Tampa Bay Lightning. We've got the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday.
That's a loss.
Now, here's the one possible positive caveat. Tampa Bay is going to be playing the Rangers on Wednesday. So they'll play the Rangers tomorrow. And
they're playing the Rangers tonight.
I'm sorry, today's Wednesday. Ooh, okay, they're playing they're playing the Rangers right now. They're losing to the Rangers, and on the second end of a back-to-back, what are you going to see out of that Tampa Bay Lightning team? I mean, who dominated us just earlier last week? I mean, what are we going to see from that Tampa Bay team? Maybe they're going to be a little tired. Maybe we're going to have dead legs towards the end of the third period.
Well, that's the way they played the first period tonight, and I think exactly the opposite. Vasilevsky gave up 3 goals on his first 5 shots. Definitely one he wanted back.
Well, hold on. Vasilevsky doesn't ever give up any goals that he's not supposed to allow, Grumpy. Don't you remember? Because he's the greatest.
It happens. And like I said, it's not a big game for them. They know who they're playing. They know, in all probability, they're going to be playing Toronto in Toronto to start the playoffs. They talked with Cooper, and he was a little bit disappointed with how they came out and played. I mean, they're down 3-1 at the end of one. Okay. What happens if they bench Vasilevsky in the second period? Say, you know what? This game is pretty much over. Let's go with Elliott tonight and come back strong Vasilevsky tomorrow. That's worst case scenario for us.
And best case scenario is they just continue on status quo, finish the game out, and we're going to be playing against Brian Elliott. Unless Vasilevsky gets shelled, and I mean shelled the remainder of this game, you should hope that this game stays as close as possible between the Rangers and the Lightning. Because if the more goals Vasilevsky gives up, you're right, the higher chance there is that they pull him and say, Brian Elliott finishes game up, and we'll try again tomorrow with Vasilevsky.
Correct.
So, yeah, you want this game to stay close. You don't want the Rangers to pummel the hell out of the Tampa Bay Lightning. But, yeah, that game against Tampa Bay, we're going to be playing a team on the second end of a back-to-back. I'd say, and we're at home. I'd say that is for 2. I'd say we've got the advantage there. It's probably as simple as I could put it.
Okay. I'll still say that's a loss for us.
I think that Tampa's a way better team than us, but I think for the circumstance, we should have the upper hand.
Okay, we'll see. I think definitely you'll see the Islanders play better than they did Saturday night, for certain. You'll see them play better than that. But we just don't match up with Tampa. They're just too good for us. And maybe it means nothing to Tampa. Maybe they roll over and die. Doesn't matter. Who knows? Then that's good for us.
Well, they've been playing good hockey lately, so I don't have a feeling that they're going to roll over and die. We've then got the Philadelphia Flyers, Grumpy's favorite Philadelphia Flyers on this Saturday.
That has to be a win.
Yes, if it's not a win, could you imagine if we lose the first 2 games out of this? We're not. Yes, I think the entire thought process changes for fans and I assume the organization about playoff chances.
Right. It comes down to 4 games, 1 point separating, 2 playoff spots to not making it. 1 point. So who can play the best in 4 straight games? That's what it comes down to.
Sure.
I mean, it's real simple, and we'll know by when? Next Wednesday, Thursday night.
Yeah, we'll have a better picture as to what's going on. We'll definitely know how many points we've got. That's for certain. And all we can do is control what we do. Philadelphia has to be a must-win game. I would be shocked if we lose to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is miserable, and I mean miserable. I'd be blown away if we lose to Philly.
Yeah, don't see that happening. And then,
I'm interested to see if we've lost to them yet this year.
We have.
What the record is.
We've lost to them this year.
Okay. Are we 1-1 against Philly then?
I don't remember. I know we lost a game to them. I think we're 1-1.
I'll keep moving along then. The Washington Capitals.
Another one.
Washington plays us close. I'm just going to say they play us tough. Historically, they do. This year, they've got 2 wins and an overtime loss against us. Or, I'm sorry, a shootout loss against us.
Okay. I think, let's say we lose to Washington.
Yikes.
Let's say we lose. That's okay. You beat Philly. You beat Montreal. You're getting in.
Yeah.
I just have absolutely no faith whatsoever in Pittsburgh. Just none.
I know you keep telling us that.
I know, but it's like I'm not even concerned.
Yeah, I mean, like what? I know you've talked about lack of goalie obviously being the biggest issue. I think Pittsburgh has the easiest schedule on paper left. They do.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So, right, they've got a miserable goalie. They're a point behind both us and Florida. They've got the easiest schedule. I think Florida's got the toughest schedule, potentially. But are 2 of these teams going to go ahead and just lay eggs because they're getting ready for the postseason? Or what's going to happen there? And for us, I think that I don't think our schedule's tough, but we've struggled this year against the bad teams. So it's worth taking that all into account.
I just think it's different since we went back to the Barry Trotz system. I just think it's different. We beat the bad teams. We lose to the good teams for the most part.
Okay. Well, that's fine then.
I'm not even concerned. I know a lot of Islander fans are really.
I know you don't even want to talk about the concern that Islander fans have.
Okay,
well, just so nonchalant and brushing them off. That's fine.
I have no faith in the 2 other teams. I think we're playing better than they are. Okay, we lost to Carolina and Tampa. Well, we're not beating Carolina and Tampa. We're not beating Boston. Probably not beating the Rangers. We're not beating a good playoff team, but everybody else is fair game. And I think the way we're playing right now, we should take care of business. I have no faith at all in Florida and Pittsburgh. They had how many games in hand where they were just a couple of points behind and they couldn't get the job done. Those are 2 teams that have not been able to get the job done. Just haven't been able to. Pittsburgh,
we've also been a team who cannot close the door either. We had the ability to try to close the door and close the gap. We beat Toronto 7-2. We beat the Devils 5 to whatever the hell it was. And then we go through a stretch to where we get the shit kicked out of us by Tampa. We lose and get dominated against Carolina. And now we're playing Tampa again. We had the ability to close the door. We haven't yet. I still think we're going to make the postseason. I think we're going to unfortunately be the 8th seed, and we're going to play Boston. I think just like we saw recently on, what was it, Saturday or whatever day we played. Was it Sunday that we played Carolina?
Yes.
When we played, that's right. We haven't even talked about the Carolina game. Sunday, Carolina they used and abused us. They treated us like it's like the JV kid trying to step up and play. It's like the middle school kid trying to play the varsity team. It just got dominated in every facet of the game.
Carolina owns us.
Sure. Yep.
Carolina owns us. If we play Carolina, we get beat. If we play Boston, we get beat.
Sure.
It's just, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, people are happy you make the playoffs. Okay, great. You're going to lose to Carolina or you're going to lose to Boston. That's it. You're done. Maybe you win, a gentleman's sweep. Maybe you lose 4-1. I don't know. We don't match up with those teams. We don't match up, period, with Carolina. Don't. Imagine if Carolina had Pacioretty and Svechnikov in their lineup. I mean, come on. The whole Carolina game, it was like they were on a power play. I thought Pierre Engvall played really well in that game. I thought he was excellent.
Carolina was on a power play that whole game. I thought Engvall played well also, but our team, there's a lot of guys who underwhelmed in that game.
Carolina has beaten us 9 of the last 11 games.
Yikes.
And stylistically, that team is death for us. Just is. We saw it again Sunday night. Sorokin was great. Freddie Anderson, he let in the 1 goal on the the rush coming down where it was a nice shot, nice play creation by Engvall with speed through the neutral zone. That was it for the whole game. They shut us down. Carolina knows stylistically they're a problem for us. Yeah. They really are.
Yep. And I mean, you look at those games recently, I don't think anybody's saying, even if we make the postseason, I think we're making the postseason, But when we make the postseason, I'm not sure too many fans and followers of the team are saying, "Oh yeah, we're taking Carolina in a series of 7. We're going to take Boston in a series of 7." I mean, like you look at Sunday's game, we just say they dominated us, and they probably should have beaten us worse than they did.
Yeah. Sorokin was outstanding in that game. I mean, just to me, I think I said this to you off air. Sorokin, for us to beat Carolina or Boston, Sorokin's going to have 4 shutouts because they're just better than we are. He's going to have to stand on his head and just shut everybody out.
Sure. Yeah. I don't disagree. He's going to have to play outstanding hockey and be near flawless in order for us to beat those good teams.
Two dialed in playoff teams. Tampa Bay, no goals. Carolina, 1. I mean, we can't score.
Yep.
It's a problem. It's been a problem for 5 years. It's a problem.
Been a problem a long time.
And you want to go back to the defensive style, well, you're not going to be beating these teams. You're not going to be beating the Carolinas and the Bostons and the Tampas. You might be able to sneak past Jersey. And I'm sure you could beat, Florida's another team. We can't beat Florida either.
We don't match up well. I know we played them earlier this year. We don't match up well against Florida because they've got a really heavy forecheck, a great skating team, very skilled, and that usually exposes some of the weaknesses that we've got.
And that's what happens. We get exposed by those teams. Boston is not stylistically is a good matchup for us. Boston's just so much better than we are. I can't. Okay. Can you see Boston's, how many games has Boston lost this year? I'm going to do a quick check. They've lost 12 games this year in regulation, 17 overall out of 78 games. You think we're beating them 4 games out of 7?
No.
I'm sorry, it's not happening.
And people always talk about, the President's Trophy curse.
Well, it's not going to be us that's going to beat them.
No, maybe another team knocks them out, but you're right. It won't be us who knocks out the Boston Bruins.
Watch out for Colorado. Watch out for Colorado.
They've been getting hot, man. They've been playing well. They're getting hot.
I mean, that's
the simplest way you can put it.
Getting hot at the right time of year. To me, I'm not even, I guess I'm not too worked up because I've told everyone what was going to happen down the stretch. And everyone, we're definitely going to beat, certainly one of Carolina and Tampa. Like, no, we're not beating Carolina and Tampa. They own us. They're better than we are. They know how to play us. I think we lose to Tampa and we win the last 3 games. That's what I think happens. And we walk into the playoffs.
Let me ask you this. How many goals is Bo Horvat going to record in those last 4 games?
None. I don't think he'll score at all. Maybe one.
Holy shit. You really don't think so?
I don't. Maybe he'll get an empty net goal in some game.
Oh my God. He's the guy that
he's the $8.5 million man.
Yeah. He is a guy though that just he's underwhelming. And I think fans are wanting more from him. Honestly, I hope he's able to build some momentum for a postseason push. Just once you're in the postseason, right? Hey, I mean, hell, there's no turning back, man. If the Highlanders don't make the postseason this year, epic collapse, right? Or maybe not an epic collapse, but an ultimate failure. An ultimate failure. Let me rephrase that. I think every single Islander fan would classify this year as a complete and utter failure if we do not make the postseason.
It's a failure if you don't at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's a failure.
Oh, no, I know, but I'm saying there would be 100% out of fans would classify this season as a failure if at this point in the season we find a way not to make the postseason.
I agree.
There will always be a certain contingency of fans to where even if we make the postseason, they'll say that's a success as long as we got to punch our ticket. That's all that matters.
Yeah. No. To me, we've talked about this on the show. What's a successful season? What's a failed season? And we all said you got to at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Sure.
At least.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Neither do I.
I just don't. I mean, this season it's going to be a failure. You just squeak into the playoffs and then hope.
Anything can happen, Grump.
Yeah, anything can happen. Right. Well, you know what? Probability. What's the probability of anything happening? Not high.
Now, I tell you, Pony Bear Curtis has done a great job. He's been tagging us in a lot, or tagging me, or us, or I guess the page in a lot of different things, Grumpy. You'll find this interesting because you're a big Tristan Jarry fan. The Penguins have given up 3 hat tricks in 8 days. They give up a hat trick to David Perron, a hat trick to David Pasternak, and a hat trick to Dawson Mercer. I've come to one conclusion. The Pittsburgh Penguins do not like playing against forwards that first name starts with the letter D.
Okay. First of all, Detroit.
Yes.
Detroit. You say they're going to beat Detroit, right? I don't think they're beating Detroit.
Detroit plays Florida. Or is it Florida? Let me pull up the schedule again. Damn, it's tough.
No, I think it's Pittsburgh plays Detroit.
No, I mean, Florida plays Detroit. Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Florida plays Detroit. That's who they play. Or they play. Oh, hold on. Maybe I screwed the pooch. No. Okay, Pittsburgh plays Detroit. My mistake.
Yeah. I think the last time they played, I think they give up 7 goals. I mean, that's a loss. I could see Pittsburgh losing every single game down the stretch. I don't care.
To Columbus and Chicago, you see them losing those games. Let's be realistic.
I could see them losing every game. If they lose the first 2, they're going to lose the last 2.
I think it depends on what okay. I think it depends on the environment. If both Florida and the Islanders win 2 games and Pittsburgh loses the first 2, I don't know. It's just weird to think that a team with Crosby, Malkin, Letang in that whole crew is just going to roll over and die.
They don't have a goaltender. You know how that deflates a team where you're dominating and they take one shot from the red line and you let it go in? It's so deflating. So deflating.
Sure. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with it. It is deflating, but I just feel like when will the superstardom and the legends that are Crosby and Malkin, when will that help pull the team across the finish line?
You don't have a goalie. I don't care how well they play. You're not going to beat every team 8-7. You have to have a goaltender. If Tristan Jarry was our goaltender, we'd be Philadelphia.
We'd be worse than Philly. If Tristan Jarry was our goaltender, Grump, we'd be Columbus. That's how bad Tristan Jarry is freaking awful.
Well, thank goodness we don't have him.
Yes, thank goodness we've got the best goalie in the world. Now somebody tagged us in this, Grumpy, and I'm gonna have to zoom in on it. Sorry, it's now that I'm looking at it, it's really far off. But it says, "Tell me the truth. I'm ready to hear it." It says Barzal's done for the year. We're losing the next 4.
Okay.
Oh God, Grumpy. Oh, so I like that. A little Spider-Man meme on here.
Do you know which Spider-Man movie that was?
The second one.
Wrong.
The third one.
Wrong again.
The first.
It was the first Spider-Man movie. And you know the circumstance?
This was him or her trying to tell maybe about I don't fucking
Wrong.
know. The Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, some shit with a goblin.
Oh my God. This is when Harry Osborn's father, who was the Green Goblin in the first movie, was killed, and this was his funeral.
Yeah, and she said, "I got to tell you this something." Yeah.
Yep. Barzal's done for the year, and they're losing the last 4.
Yikes. Wouldn't that be a freaking awful scenario? My God. Now, Barzal did come back and skate. So that's a plus.
Good news.
He did come back and skate. So that's good news. Now, as to, maybe I could try to do some digging. Maybe they got more information on it, but he did skate a little bit.
A little bit. Okay. He sounds like he's ready for playoff action.
Barzal has resumed skating, per Andrew Gross. Now, this was on April the 4th. So this was yesterday. He resumed skating.
Okay. So he's got a week and a half to get ready. I just don't see it. Not where he's effective. Maybe as an emotional lift for the team, him being out there, but he's certainly not going to be at 100% if he plays. Just won't be.
I agree with that. He's not going to be the same guy he was, performing at his peak. This is going to be a guy who's going to be, I just hope, playing at some sort of level. Alexander Romanov, upper body is listed day to day. He's not practicing today.
No. No big loss. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We will make the playoffs. And if we don't, well, then we don't. I think we will, though. I think we lose to Tampa tomorrow, we win the next 3. That's it. Lose tomorrow, win the next 3, we're in. Just that plain and simple.
So,
We have a
Grumpy,
point
to answer your
advantage.
question, the big thing that is eating most Islander fans alive, what will the Islanders do come this playoffs? Are they going to make it? Are they not? What's going to happen? Grumpy said, nah, don't worry about it. We're making it. We're going to lose this next one against Tampa and win the next 3.
I love this tweet. Matt Barzell skated on his own this morning.
So that means,
like before, was he skating with a walker?
Skated on his own mean he didn't skate with the team. He's not doing anything with the team. He's just out there on the ice by himself, which means you're probably just skating in straight line. You're not doing too much. You're not being, he doesn't even,
He will not be ready for the start of the playoffs.
I don't think he'll be ready for the start of the postseason either.
No.
Maybe they might try to force him back or rush him back, but it might not be the smartest decision for the team.
Who do you think would orchestrate a stupid move like that? That sounds like a Fredo move to me.
That sounds like a Lou Lamoriello move, Grumpy.
Fredo's the reason why we have all these great players on this team.
Oh my gosh. I tell you, my goodness gracious. Now look at this. People, I know I'd mentioned earlier, the Islanders are considering putting Tristan Jarry's name up there in the rafters. Well, we do already see that his name is being hoisted up as we speak. Tristan Jarry.
Deserved. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Thanks for that, Ponyboy Curtis. Tristan Jarry's name going up in the rafters. So
100% deserved.
I've said here this. I think the Islanders make the postseason. Isn't this funny? I got the 2 individuals who thought, no, this is a team that won't. And now everybody is starting to turn their back on the Islanders, and these 2 are saying, yeah, I think that they're going to make it. I think Sorokin's fantastic. I think the teams around them are very flawed, just like we are. But if I had to put who's a more complete team, the Islanders, the Florida Panthers, or the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Penguins, everything but net. And I think the Islanders are probably the most complete team out of the bunch.
You think the Panthers are the most complete team of the bunch?
No. I just said the Islanders.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I thought you said Panthers.
I said, or did I say the Pittsburgh Panthers? Pittsburgh Penguins are everything but a goalie. Correct. And now Florida having the issues that they've got their AHLer who's the backup. I didn't even know Spencer Knight wasn't playing for them for a while. It shows you how little I watched the Florida Panthers.
It doesn't. He played pretty well. Yeah, he played well against Buffalo, though.
Yeah, the backup.
Some big saves against Buffalo. Their defense core isn't good enough. Our defense is good enough. We play the Barry Trotz style. We're going to beat the lesser teams, and we'll make the playoffs. Are we as talented offensively as either one of those teams? No. If you're looking at goaltending, it's us, Florida, and way down there is Pittsburgh.
Underneath the foundation of your house,
you have 3 imperfect teams.
Correct.
I'd much rather be the team with the really good goaltender and a buttoned-up defensive system in 4-game stretch. That's what I'd want.
This Saturday, we're going to know a whole lot more, ladies and gentlemen, as to what's going on with the New York Islanders. Just to make it abundantly clear, though, both myself and Grumpy at this point do think the Islanders are making the postseason. And by next show, we'll know what's going to happen in tomorrow's Tampa Bay Lightning game. We're also going to be going live during the Islanders against the Philadelphia Flyers. So, you want to see some crazy reactions from the grumpy old man. Not only does he hate the Flyers, but could you imagine the magnitude of that game, Grumpy, where the Flyers, if they beat us, could potentially keep us out of the postseason, Grump?
That'd be a typical scummy Flyer move. They do nothing all year long, but they beat us when it counts. And that's one thing. Lesser teams really seem to get up for teams they can play the spoiler role in the playoffs.
They say F you and stick the middle finger up at them.
A lot of teams like that. We've seen it historically.
God almighty.
But the reason you talk about, Islander fans worried about us making the playoffs because we lost the last 2 games. We weren't winning the last 2 games. We're probably not winning tomorrow night. I feel confident going into the last 3 games of the year, though. And I really feel confident looking at the trash that we're competing against. That's the difference. If we were competing against Tampa or the Rangers or Toronto, I'd say, no, I don't feel good about our chances. We're competing against more dregs. I just think we're better than them.
Okay. Well, we do have today's ad to read from DraftKings. And now they haven't given us a new ad, but we're just going to read the ad, the most recent one we've got. The biggest tournament in college basketball is underway, and the action is just getting started with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. Right now, new customers can bet $5 on any pregame money line and score $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Plus, combine multiple bets for a shot at an even bigger payout. DraftKings will be featuring same-game parlays, odd boosts all tournament long. So be sure to check the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, or to check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day to see what they have in store. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the sign-up code and the promo code THPN. Right now, new customers can bet $5 on any pregame money line bet and get $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, with promo code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes in the description for additional details.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure out what's going on with that because they shouldn't be giving us the same damn ad read. Anyway, Grumpy, let's start looking into some comments, Grump, here. First comment there from Nick D, Grumpy.
Grumpy, TJ, how you doing tonight? Tomorrow night's game is a big one. Nah, it's not. It's really not.
You're not concerned about that?
Nope, I count that one as a loss anyway. No problem. No problem there. Then Nick D follows up, says they have to win tomorrow night, not only to for sure make it in the playoffs, but boost their confidence going. It doesn't matter. I don't care how confident they are. They're not beating Carolina or Boston. Thank you very much. I don't, like I said, this season's been written already. It's already, you can knock it into stone, make the playoffs, get beat in the first round. That's this season. Sorry.
Charles Dittmer, how are you doing? Brett W says, TJ, you're late. No soup for you.
No soup for you.
Frank K said Islanders are very lucky the Penguins have no goalie.
100% agree.
Yep, absolutely. Dave J says, fire Fredo. Hire Son X.
Son X.
Grumpy, here go Goon Goon, Grumpy.
Hey, Grumpy, a friend reminder. Bridgeport sucks. Bridgeport sucks. Bridgeport sucks. Whose fault is that? It's Fredo's fault.
It is. It is Fredo's fault, Grumpy. He's just freaking miserable. Matthew S said, I hate this team. And Drew L said, TJ, your intro almost blew out my car speakers. Lower the volume on that, sir. LOL.
Why don't you just lower the volume on your car speakers? Just just lower it a little bit.
I thought you were coming in a little louder than usual. Maybe I got to look at the volume inputs here in a sec. Andrew L said, TJ, this is the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. What do they call it?
I don't know, but you've been bungling the name of the podcast for a while.
How did Grumpy not catch you on that? Oh, shit.
Yeah, TJ.
Matthew S said, in fact, well, because Grumpy was watching probably TV. Matthew S said, in fact, I hate both of my teams. Yeah, the Mets are bad, man.
Actually, you know what it was? No, I forgot to clip up my mic to start the show. So that's why I missed the intro. I'm like, oh, geez, the mic's laying over. Let me clip it up.
Andre M says here, I'm not convinced Lou's back if they miss the playoffs. Let's talk about that.
I disagree.
Do you think if Lou Lamoriello misses the postseason for 2 years in a row and the team finds a way not to make the postseason? Because right now, in my opinion, I think they're in the driver's seat. They would have to try to find a way not to make the postseason at this point, not to get in. I think that they are a secured lock to make the postseason. I really do.
I feel the same way.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, no.
But if they don't make the postseason, Grumpy, to answer this commenter's question, do you think Lou Lamoriello has any? Do you think he's on? Do you think he's not going to be re-signed?
Nope. I think he'll be back.
Okay, Lou Lamoriello's coming back no matter.
I don't care what they do. He's coming back. I don't think he's going anywhere until he wants to. If he wanted to be a general manager till the day he died, they would let him.
Jesus Christ. It's scary, isn't it? It's scary, isn't it? He's not held to any sort of standards, possibly.
They're going to let him do whatever he wants.
Hard to believe. Charles Dittmer says here, I long for the old days, Grumpy. Unfortunately, our children will never get to witness what we witnessed when we witnessed our cup runs.
True. And that's not just because the Islanders are a shitty team like they are now. It's because free agency has, I don't want to say ruined sports, but I want to say, yes, ruined sports. When you were a kid, how do you become a fan? It's not like, oh, hey, I'm a 30-year-old guy and all of a sudden I want to pick up, watching hockey. No, from when you're the time you're a child, you usually whoever your dad roots for, that's how you determine what teams you like, or you follow a team from a young age. Okay. And when I was a kid, in all the sports, the same players were on the team every year. Some guys got moved off via trades, but it's not like, oh, well, half the team's gone this year, another half gone the next year after that, be free agency. Oh, they can leave at the end of the year. Well, that wasn't it. Guys got whatever their contracts were. They got to play, and I'm not besmirching them the money that they're making. Absolutely not. But there was something where there was comfort in knowing that your team was going to be pretty much the same team every single year. One or two guys get shed. They bring some young guys up. Like I said, a couple of trades, but you didn't see massive overhauls of teams from year to year, or they just left due to free agency. A really good player was with your team for the majority, if not all of his career. That's just not the same anymore. It's unfortunate.
Okay. To answer your question too, Charles, I'll say if the Islanders don't make it, or if the Islanders get the boot, I kind of am rooting for Tampa a bit just to witness something great like that. 3 cups in 4 years and 4 Stanley Cup Finals appearances in a row. I mean, that's the last time that's probably happened since what, the Oilers or the Islanders? The Oilers, right?
It's been a long time. Detroit was in
Did
there for a while.
Did they make 4 cup finals in a row?
I don't know.
And that Detroit team was definitely a dynasty back then.
Yeah.
Right. I think if depending on what the Tampa Bay Lightning do this year in the postseason will make them undoubtedly defined as a dynasty or not.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Okay, I think what Tampa's done has been better than what Chicago's done over that time period. Chicago, won 2 cups in like 4 years?
3 cups.
3 cups in 5 years, was it?
Something like that. That's pretty good.
The weird thing is I never really thought too much of those Chicago teams. I know I'm downplaying it, but I didn't think much of those Chicago teams.
They were really good.
Jonathan Taves is not a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Patrick Kane is, sure.
Okay.
He got one Hall of
the captain of 3 Stanley Cup teams. Please stop.
As a first line center, got to put the puck in the net.
I'm sorry, he's a Hall of Famer. You're wrong. You're wrong. Winning means something. Winning means something. You're the captain.
He has 882 career points on a season, on his career, and
he's a two-way center though.
Games.
He's a blood and guts two-way center.
That's not a guy who makes the Hall of Fame. He's never averaged a point a game ever in his NHL career. Not a freaking once. Sorry, that guy deserves no freaking spot or chance in the Hall of Fame. None at all.
He'll make the Hall of Fame. He will make the Hall of Fame.
Undeservedly so.
I disagree. He'll make the Hall of Fame. He absolutely will make the Hall of Fame.
Got to put up points if you're playing the center position and you're playing on the first line. You disagree?
Okay, but he does everything. He kills penalties. He's out there the last 2 minutes of the game. He's everything.
There's a lot of guys who do everything. There's a lot of guys who do everything. Like a Duncan Keith. Do you think Duncan Keith makes the Hall of Fame?
I think he has a legit shot to make the Hall of Fame, yes. 3 Stanley Cups. It means something.
Jesus. When you win everybody from Tampa's getting it if they win another Stanley Cup. Just let everybody in.
How many points did Clark Gillies have?
I can pull it up.
Clark Gillies. Pull that up.
Game's changed since then. Let's be honest.
Okay. You might say the game has changed. How many points has he put up?
Give me a second. I'll pull it through.
Yeah. I'm going to bet it's like 700 something.
697 points.
Okay. I mean, sorry. Taves will make the Hall of Fame.
Guess what? Clark Gillies, with less points and fewer amount of games, had multiple seasons where he averaged more than a point a game. Jonathan Taves has never averaged more than a point a game ever in his NHL career.
You're right.
Sorry, you don't get that spot without being dominant. You don't. It's not the Hall of Very Good. It's the Hall of Fame.
The goaltending's much better now than it used to.
Sure. Players, and they're not using wooden sticks. So, the list goes on, Grump.
Yeah, he'll make the Hall of Fame. No doubt about it.
Undeservedly so. I don't think Duncan Keith makes the Hall of Fame. Maybe he does though. That's a guy. I feel Duncan Keith has a better chance of making a Hall of Fame than Jonathan Davis. All I'm saying is this Tampa team has more Hall of Famers on it than those Chicago Blackhawks.
Which team?
These Tampa Bay Lightning teams
Tampa Bay.
more
Maybe.
Hall of Fame. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kucherov is not missing out. Stamkos is not missing out. Hedman's not missing out. And Vasilevsky. That's 4 sure ballot items. I think that Braden Point is a maybe, depending on how healthy he stays.
Okay, that's fair. But I
5
think there's
Hall of Famers.
Okay. I'm just saying that team will have 3. They'll have 3.
Best case scenario, they've got 3.
They were really good. Almost impossible to beat, and they were clutch as hell.
These Tampa teams would have freaking mopped the floor against those Chicago teams. I'm talking about mop the floor.
I don't understand why you feel you need to put another team down because
I'm not saying that team was not great. I'm just saying this team here, and if they make the finals 4 years in a row, this will probably be the most impressive run we've seen since the Edmonton Oilers. That's what I was asking. It's the Chicago Blackhawks are in a different they're galaxies ahead of those Chicago Blackhawks team. Galaxies. And a completely different solar system, in my opinion.
Okay. Not galaxies better. They're better. I give it to you.
Universe is better.
Your question was, has there been any other team that's been dynasty like Tampa? And I said Chicago. And now you're just putting Chicago. Chicago won 3 cups. Tampa's only won 2. So sorry.
Okay. Tampa's still more impressive than that Chicago team. Sorry. I'm still going with those Tampa.
Gotta win another cup. Cup.
Says, boy, do the Mets smell like a backed up toilet thus far this season.
I didn't like their off season. And you're seeing why now. You're seeing why now.
It's early yet, but you're right. I don't think they win the division. That is a lot of way that can go, but they don't have the ability to hit well enough. They got killed by the Brewers in that series.
Lost again today.
Yikes. Got swept. Drew says Sunex, aka Grumpy's father's lookalike.
True.
Mikey D, Grumpy.
We need a modern GM. Sakic, Fitzgerald, Drury, and Yzerman.
Yeah.
Some examples of the age and style of GM I'd want: 40 to 50 years old, and have helped turn the team around. Okay, I agree, but all of them have problems. Sakic less so because they won a cup last year.
Yeah,
they all have the same problem. They only look for skill guys and don't realize you need some grit to win Stanley Cups. You do. I say if Tampa was healthy last year, Colorado still does not win.
That's correct. If Tampa was healthy, they would have walked over. Tampa has fought their way back. It's a 4-3 game. The Rangers are above Tampa. I'm sorry. Continue though,
Ron. Fitzgerald, I think he's okay. I think you're seeing subtle things. We're going to see if he can get them over the hump. We're going to find out. They all draft well, though. Drury, I just think he's got a lot of money and he throws it around. I don't think he's good as John Davidson was or Jeff Gorton before him. I don't think he was. Steve Yzerman, I know you're a big fan of his, TJ.
Yes.
Could not get Tampa over the hump because you would never move draft picks or go for grit guys. That's how they got all those skill guys, without a doubt, because that's his style. That's what it was in Detroit. A lot of super talented guys. He had to leave, and Brisebois had to come in before they were able to get over the hump by adding some of those guys that help you win Stanley Cups.
Every single player that's making a Hall of Fame out of that team was drafted by Yzerman.
Okay. They didn't win anything when he was GM.
Stamkos, not Hedman. Not Stamkos, not Hedman. Obviously, that predates him. But,
they won nothing when he was GM. Nothing. Because he didn't realize that at some point in time, it's nice to have all the shiny toys.
What?
Which are great, because we have one shiny toy on this team. One. But on a team like Tampa, they had a whole bunch of shiny toys. Sometimes you got to move a shiny toy to bring in a little bit to get the base going. To get somebody who can do the dirty jobs. Tampa Bay didn't have that. When he left, Brisebois came in. He realized this. He made those few alterations, and the rest is history, as they say. So that's the only issue with Yzerman. What's Detroit won with Yzerman? Nothing. Never even made the playoffs yet. He should have turned the team around by now. Should have turned it around by now. Hasn't done it.
I tell you, Detroit, because they spent many years, 4+ years trading away every single first round draft pick and second round draft pick they could get their fingers on to try to go ahead and keep a little slim playoff chance open. They just gutted the entire farm system. So they had to do a rebuild during their rebuild. And that's one of the things that can happen when you really bottom out like that.
I'm sorry. He's never won anything. He's never won anything.
Yeah, you're not going to catch me ever saying anything bad about Stevie Y. He's fantastic.
That's fine. I'm just saying I'd rather have Bill Guerin than Steve Yzerman. Minnesota's not stupid enough to let him go. That's the type of guy I want.
Mind. How quickly you forget.
I don't know.
How quickly you forget.
Bill Guerin can take a team with a whole bunch of deadweight contracts and turn it around in a year and a half, like he did in Minnesota. He's done that in Minnesota. He had a whole bunch of albatross Anders Lee type contracts, not even worse than Anders Lee type contracts, 2 of them. And he was able to turn that team around in 2 years. Turn it around.
Yeah, it helps when you've got Kaprizov just chilling in the back.
Well, we got Matt Barzal on our team.
Yeah, Kaprizov is like, okay, Kaprizov is miles better than Matt Barzal. And I like Matt Barzal. Miles better than Matt Barzal.
That's
Are you
the deal
disagreeing with that?
We need someone who's able to deconstruct this dumpster fire that Lamarillo's built.
I'm happy. How about this? I'd be happy with either option. Okay. Onto this list. I'd be happy with any of those general managers. Drury a little less. But Fitzgerald, Sakic, Yzerman, sure. Guerin, sure.
Yzerman,
Drury, not so sure.
Well, since we can't trade for GMs, we're not getting any of them.
Oh,
no one wants to go for the Islanders. Nobody on their own volition. Maybe that's why Fredo's there. He's been ingrained in.
But let's look. Man, you just sell freaking Stevie Y too short. I'll have to put you to school one of these days when we've got more time. Rick Roma says Chris Lamarillo deserves a shot. Wow. He worked so hard to finally get an NHL general manager job, and he'll turn the Islanders into a champion. I'm not being serious. I just wanted to see the grumpy old man's face when this was being read.
All right, good. Thank God, Rick. I think maybe you were drinking that coffee, but coffee's for closers. Don't forget that.
Driel said Lou was just like my grumpy old man. Grumpy old man. I love, but an insufferable little shit sometimes. I don't know.
He must be talking about himself.
Is a little shit sometimes. Okay. He's insufferable shit. Mikey D says, I heard you guys say 2 shows ago that you'd rather have Dobson at $4 million than Fox at 9.5. That's insane to me. It's a Phil-like take. Fox is hold on a second. Fox is 10 times better than Dobson. I hate to say it.
Not true. Not true.
Grumpy 10 times. Okay, maybe people don't understand like when you're doing the multiple.
He's not even 10 times better than Romanoff.
Tenfold. A toddler. Okay, not a toddler, but a mite at tenfold would be better than Adam Fox. Tenfold. Mikey D, I know you're being hyperbolic, but this is what I mean. Why the fuck are we talking about Noah Dobson today? Why are you trying to shit on Noah Dobson? I don't get it. Noah Dobson's not our issue.
No,
he's not.
Nope.
He's welcome to the modern NHL. Snail slow. Nobody's been talking shit about Scott Mayfield on this show and about how miserable he is. Not a single peep out of him. Nor Romanoff. All about Noah Dobson. I know he leads the defense in points, and I know he has a different defensive pairing about every single week, but Noah Dobson's a problem. He's with another new defensive pair again. He's with another new defensive partner again. I
wonder what they do now with Romanoff out. What did they do? Did they take Bolduc?
Sebastian Aho, right?
Well, so what are they going to do? Are you going to play Aho with Pulak? That's not going to work.
Yikes.
Or are you going to go Bolduc? We'll put you with
Ryan Pulak.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Mayfield's been a really bad.
He's been miserable this year, but we didn't want to trade him away for a first plus.
I mean, but why is he on the first pairing with Pelech?
I couldn't tell you why Lane does like right. What are some of the complaints I have? Lane, a complaint I do have about Lane. He does a lot of things well, but he hammers the blender anytime things start to go a little bit
True, true.
where things look like they could be. There's a crack here. Let me go ahead and hit the blender real quick. Sometimes less is more, my friend. That simple. Less is more. But yeah, no adoption is not the problem on this team. 10 times 10. Adam Fox is 10 times a defenseman. No, the New York Rangers are 10 times the team that the New York Islanders are. How does that feel? It's the sad truth of it. Imagine how easy the defensive assignment is for Adam Fox, where about 60% of the game they spend in the offensive zone because their forward group is just so fantastic that they don't get pressured on the other side.
Yep.
They've also got a fantastic goalie just like we do, but instead of spending 60% of the time in our zone, they spend 60% of the time in the offensive zone. So you don't get to see all of the defensive woes. It's the same thing with Cale Makar. Cale Makar is a very flawed defenseman. Oh, his analytics and his Corsi numbers look so good. Let me go ahead and explain this on stat sheets to you. Well, it really does help when you're consistently in transition and always in the offensive zone. You're not going to get exposed too much on the defensive end. I'm like, who you play for, who your partner is, that depends a lot on the view of what you're going to see out there on the ice too. I'm sorry. I'm not about the Dobson hate. Just not about it. I'll move along now.
You're right. It's so easy to say, see, I don't think Cale Makar is great defensively.
I don't think he is either, but people claim he's fantastic because of the analytics and Corsi numbers.
If you put him on the Islanders,
he's bad.
He's really bad defensively. You're going to have the same issues with Noah Dobson. You switch those two guys, and Dobson, I'm not saying Dobson's going to put Makar-like numbers, but you're going to say, wow, man, Noah Dobson is really freaking good.
At 23 years old, Noah Dobson is one of the future faces of the NHL. It's because of the system they play for and who the cast and crew is around him.
How many people were ripping Devon Taves while he was here?
Phil's facts. The list goes on.
Everybody,
everyone.
He's so bad defensively. You know what? He's not in Colorado.
Nope.
It's system and style. When your whole game is predicated on playing defense, a guy who has offensive skill he's just not going to look as good. Just not going to.
Do you remember when we had to fight those people who were saying, "Oh, the only reason Devon Taves is playing so great in Colorado is because he's partnered with Cale Makar." Well, Cale Makar missed, what was it, like 30 games, and Devon Taves still played fantastic hockey. Yeah, it's not so much Cale Makar; it's the system and the support crew they've got around him, and he's a guy designed well for that system.
100% agree. 100%.
So we knew Devon Taves was going to do much better. Noah Dobson would do much better outside of this Islanders organization. Yes. Just like Matt Barzal would be well over a point a game player outside of the New York Islanders.
You put Noah Dobson with the Devils, his game would take off.
For certain. For certain.
Just Absolutely. Because of the style they play. Yep. Carolina. He'd be great in Carolina.
Sure.
Shane Gostisbehere looks like a legitimate NHL defenseman playing for Carolina.
Yes, and Shane Gostisbehere, we've seen how bad he struggled there in Philly, how mediocre he looked in Arizona. But wow, Shane Gostisbehere looks so confident. He's playing such great hockey with the Carolina Hurricanes. I wonder why.
It's the team. It's the structure. It's what they do.
Yeah. When you have 60% of the zone time pressure in the offensive zone, you're not going to be getting pressed too much on your heels. And when you're offense and you're playing with the first line out there, the first forward group, they're so dominant that they've got the majority of the zone time pressure. So you're not going to be in the defensive zone. So all you get to see is the fantastic offense with little dribs and drabs of the struggle on defense. That's the way the current NHL moves.
That's right.
Rick Roma. I'm sorry, Grumpy, finish your point.
That's it. Rick Roma says, Jari is easy to blame, but the Devils skated circles around the Penguins all night. Yeah, because they're young and they can skate. I don't care who's in goal for Pittsburgh. They're not a playoff team. I 100% agree. Here's the thing. That's the way we'd look, too. That's the way we'd look against Carolina and against Tampa. Same way.
I disagree with the second half of that statement because there are 3 games that they had 3-1 victories, 3-1 leads on us in the third period, but miserable goaltending cost them.
Yeah.
Against us specifically.
This wouldn't even be a conversation right now if they didn't have Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith as their 2 goalies.
If they had anybody better, they would have closed out those games against us where I watched those and it wasn't like, it was just we were so fantastic. They were just misses by their goalie and just missing routine saves that cost them games in regulation and overtime.
We got 5 extra points right there. If they had 5 extra points, they'd be a walkover to make the playoffs. And it'd be, and here's the thing, we'd be 5 points further back, honestly, and totally out of the race. We'd be in competition with Buffalo for ninth. That's where we'd be. But you know what? Hey, it all evens out. That's why we have the goalie we have. That's why we're winning games, is because of our goalie.
Yep. It's fantastic to have one of the best goalies in the world. Goon says, fellow viewers, I'm planning on going to an Islanders game at UBS soon. Well, you better get there pretty soon there, Goon, because, hey,
only a couple more games left.
I was about to say, only a handful, maybe like tops 4 home games left. Any pointers or tips? Parking, want to try food, anything, check out at the arena. You want to get a Shack chicken sandwich, Goon. I heard they look fantastic. Get yourself one of those multicolored bagels with a nice chicken patty on that.
You want to get your Tristan Jarry donut.
Oh, man. Drew L said, the problems lie more than Jarry, but it doesn't mean that Jarry isn't a major problem.
He can't make a save at a critical moment.
Yes.
In a big moment, he lets in the goal every single game. Every single game. Because I've been watching their games. I'm like, this, I can tell. I don't care what the score is. If it's close, he will blow it in the last minute or two. It's what he does. Ottawa.
Yeah.
The Islanders twice.
Islanders 3 times.
Boston. I mean, all the time. They've played well enough. Here's the thing. And they'll get blown out because he'll give up 3 goals on 4 shots. Game's over then.
They gave up 2 goals on the first 4 shots against the Devils. I mean, like, the Devils were the better team, but it's like, got to come up with a save occasionally. Got to come, like with Sorokin. Sorokin comes up consistently with saves that we don't expect him to make, or you would not expect a normal goalie to make. But that's what keeps us in a game, and it makes it a 0-0 tie. We're able to break through. We're able to trickle a goal in past the opposing team's goalie, maybe on something weak, and then the floodgates open.
Yep.
You know, Tristan Jarry is just not a goalie who can do any of the he can't make a big save ever. Charles Dittmer says, if Bailey was a third liner for most of his career, we would all have a different view of him.
I agree to a certain extent. I think it's the fact that he makes the money that he makes.
Yes.
If he was not a first round pick, if he was a 4th round pick, he'd already be out of the league.
Correct. I agree with that.
He never would have been given the opportunities he's been given. He would never find his way migrating to the first line like he does every single year somehow. Somehow Josh Bailey's on the first line for a while. It just wouldn't be the case. And the fact that he makes the money that he makes is even worse. That's what makes – here's the thing. Fans see a guy like – and I'm just speaking to myself. Josh Bailey making $5 million a year for how many years? Anders Lee making $7 million a year. They don't deserve it. If Anders Lee was a third-line guy, I wouldn't be complaining about him.
Yeah, and if he was paid like a third-line guy, I'd actually love Anders Lee. I would say, wow, this is a great bargain. We have bargain players on our team. Mm-hmm. Absolutely we do, right? I think the Pelech and Pulak contracts when signed were bargains for those 2 players. I think, well, depending on what's going to happen with Sorokin, the Sorokin contract that he signed there is at Bridge was a bargain. Like, there are certain bargain deals we have, and that's why they're fan favorites. It's like, holy crap, this guy produces so much for the team, and he costs so little.
Zach Parise, for the money he makes, is a bargain. Here's the thing. You ever see when Zach Parise plays on one of the, like on the first line, he's not that good anymore. But as a third line guy, great. Pierre Engvall, as a third line guy, he's fine. He's not physical enough. That's my issue with him. But I mean, the kid, he can create a little bit. If you overpay him, if you get, let's say you give him $5 million a year, man, I'm going to be all over him for being soft.
Yep. Just like we're all over Bo Horvat. If Bo Horvat was making $4.5 or $5 million a year, it wouldn't bother us.
He's playing right now like he's JG Pageau, a third line center.
Sure. Yeah. And Jean-Gabriel Pageau, I'd argue, has been better than Bo Horvat over that stretch, too. I like what I've seen out of Jean-Gabriel Pageau as a recent. You could tell he's kind of getting a little older, Jean-Gabriel Pageau, but he's been better, I think, than Bo Horvat over this stretch.
I'm a big JG Pageau fan. I'm also a Bo Horvat fan. But for me, $5 million a year is too much for a third-line center.
Sure.
Just is.
I think there is some truth behind that, Charles. If Bailey was always the third-line guy, and I think there's truth behind what Grumpy said, and he was drafted in the 3rd round, number one, he would no longer be in the NHL. He would not have been afforded all these continual opportunities just based off of his draft pedigree and the pedigree of where he's selected, but we wouldn't hate him as much. Absolutely not. I think you're right, Charles. I think there's some truth behind that. There's truth behind both yours and Grumpy statements. Joseph C. says here, Pittsburgh has been on borrowed time since 2018. Should completely blow the team up while some of their best players still have value. I think so too, but they probably won't.
I don't see how, unless you start moving those players, I don't see how you blow it up.
They should move they should move Crosby. They should move Malcolm. They should move everyone.
They're not going to move Crosby.
I'm just telling you they should.
Okay. So you think they should? I mean, Malkin wanted to be there. He took less money to go stay there. He wanted to play there. Same with Letang. The problem is they were one of these teams who got into the cycle of, all right, if we're all in this year, give up the draft picks, and now we're going to make that push. Well, it doesn't work every year.
Eventually, you get to a point to where you've got to pay the piper.
Right. And they're there, right? They are there.
You've got a no move clause on Crosby. So it's not a no trade, it's a no move. So, ways around that. If obviously he wants to.
Here's the thing. If both teams want somebody to move, it doesn't matter if he is the contract, the clause or not. It's like you can make anything work. It's just that both parties agree. That's why, no trade clause, no move clause. It don't matter. If a guy doesn't want to be there anymore and you don't want him there, you can make that happen. Just where it's a workaround. I hate when people say, oh, well, he has a no move. That's it. He's impossible to move. That's not true. If he wants to leave and you want him gone, you absolutely can move him. As long as teams mutually agree. Or if you make it so miserable for him that he says, I don't want to be here anymore.
Or if they see the writing on the wall. Let's say, yeah. I'm not like, they moved in Mikael Grenlund, and I like Mikael Grenlund, but that's a guy who's 31 years old. That's a guy whose prime is behind him. Jake Gensel's now 28. Think about that. Jake Gensel's 28 years old. They still have Jeff Carter kicking. Jeff Carter has 1 year left on his contract at the age of 1 year left on his contract at the age of 38 years old.
38.
Yeah, that's yeah. If you're in a spot like this, you kind of see the writing on the wall.
He's still producing. Jeff Carter's still producing, but does it matter? And here's the thing: we're talking about the playoffs. All these teams, we're saying how they all suck. We're right in that suck boat too.
Yep.
Anything can happen. So if Pittsburgh makes the playoffs, they can win. Never know.
Mikey D says, where do you guys think Patrick Kane ends up next season? I say he's gonna take a super team-friendly deal with the Rangers. He chose them at the deadline, and he wants to be there for years.
I agree. I think he'll sign back with the Rangers. He'll have to take a pay cut. They're going to have to do a little bit of gymnastics in the offseason, but good GMs can do that. Sure. They can absolutely make that happen. The only GM who's not capable of doing that is the guy who's in charge of the New York Islanders. Not capable of it. He's got to give up all his assets to move one guy. Terrible.
I agree with you on that, Grump. I really do, because this is a guy who does want to be with the Rangers. I think he likes playing with a few of his pals and buddies, and that's where he wants to be. Joseph C. says Kane will re-sign with the Rangers. Now, Joseph's a Rangers fan, so I'll take what he says too. He's already made $115 million in his career. Tarasenko is a goner, though.
I believe Tarasenko's gone. Here's the thing. To say that he'll re-sign with the Rangers because he's already made the money in his career, that's horseshit. He might take a little bit of a haircut, but he's not going to come for you for $750,000 a year. It's not going to happen.
John Smith said, we can't say we're guaranteed in the playoffs. Never underestimate this team's ability to shit the bed.
True. I just think we're mentally stronger than the other two teams.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that probably the mentally the weakest team is maybe the Florida Panthers. I believe probably the strongest are the Islanders, the Penguins. But man, with Tristan Jarry in that tests your mental fortitude every single shift you're on the ice.
He gives up a goal, and you see the benches. It's like, here we go again. I tell you, I've been watching so many of their games. It has to be, and if they had anybody, where's Louis Domingue when you need him? I mean, he's so bad in net.
Um, got here from Kevin Barlow says we have to win 3 out of 4 games and a point in the other game.
No.
Well, that would guarantee us a spot, right? If we get
Yeah.
at least, yeah. But Kevin, I feel confident. I feel confident we're making the postseason.
Yeah. No.
Patrick Hamo says an easy 3 out of 4. To be honest, it's only going to take 2 wins, but it's going to be easy.
I agree. It's only going to take 2 wins. I think it's only going to take 2.
Oh man. James F says, "Is it time to panic yet?" No.
Nope,
Here's the thing. On Wednesday's show, if we lose to Tampa and then we proceed to lose on Monday night against the Philadelphia, or we
you
lose
mean Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, shit. That's right. I don't know what's going on with the days in my head. So on Saturday, maybe Saturday, it's time to panic. At the end of our podcast, we might be slamming the panic button. If we lose to Tampa on Thursday, which is tomorrow, and lose to the Flyers on Wednesday, yeah, we'll be hitting panic. I think we're going to beat Tampa tomorrow.
Okay. If we lose to Tampa and lose to Philly, and Pittsburgh wins 2 games and Florida wins 2 games, then I'm saying, okay, there's a chance we're not going to make the playoffs. That's a big if. I mean, I just don't see, I cannot see Pittsburgh. I'd be stunned if Pittsburgh won 3 or 4. Stunned.
I agree. Drew L says Pittsburgh's biggest issue is the same with us, minus having a goalie. They're too old. Their general manager is also too stubborn to pull the plug and start a rebuild/retool.
The difference with Pittsburgh and us is they have some true legends on their team. Real legends.
First ballot Hall of Famers and legends of the game. Yes.
3 Hall of Famers on that team.
Yep.
3 absolute Hall of Famers.
Letang,
Malkin, and Crosby. Absolute first ballot Hall of Famers, every single one of them. Gensel is right up there. Jeff Carter right up there. I mean, to pull up, it's not like us. I mean, it's so much easier.
Hall of Famers on our team, Grumpy. If you had to, what's the likelihood of players on our team making the Hall of Fame, Grumpy?
None.
So
right now,
the only one that has the possibility.
Okay.
Only one that has the possibilities. Maybe
right now, we have no one on this team with the possibility of making the Hall of Fame. No one.
Possibility, chance. I don't think anybody has a strong likelihood.
Sorokin has to be good for another 6, 7, 8 years.
Sure.
Right now, today, no one.
Okay.
No one.
Joseph C says Pittsburgh looks really slow in all zones too. Malkin looks like he can't even skate anymore.
He's not as. That's right. I mean, how old is he? He's got to be what, 36?
I'll pull that up. Rick Roma, Grumpy.
Pens look slow and old, and they made a ton of mistakes versus the Devils. I know New Jersey forces teams to make mistakes, but holy hell, the Penguins were horrific. Not a good team. That's why I'm not afraid of the Penguins. Just not.
Malkin's 36, Letang's 35, Crosby's 35.
Yeah, I mean, they're all at the tail end.
You're mid to late 30s. Doesn't bode well. Mikey D, Grumpy.
Phil Facts says Sorokin isn't a top 3 goalie. He's right. He's top 1, top 2. His top 3 are Vasilevsky, Igor, and Ottinger. Phil is crazy. I'd say it's easily Vasi, Igor, Sorokin, and then you can choose your order. Okay. Let me tell you something about Phil.
We had to have a talk with Phil.
I talked with the other night, and I've been saying for a long, I've been telling TJ that he's trolling people. He does. That's what he does. That's what his whole, and his thing, I don't begrudge him. I don't. Good for you. He makes these statements just to make them so he gets clicks.
No, I don't think he does that.
That's what he does. All right. He admitted it to me that he does a lot of things just to get people riled up. And like I said, I've been saying that for a long time. He's trolling everyone. It's so obvious he's trolling everyone because he'll flip on the same subject.
There's certain things that he's not trolling on. He says he waits, uses logic. But no, Sorokin's a top 3 goalie. He came on with that freaking putrid take that Sorokin is like Kirk Cousins, and that take could not look worse. And every single day, it just looks worse and worse and worse. I'm just waiting for Sorokin to win a Vezina. I said, damn, I didn't know Kirk Cousins won himself an MVP.
He's trolling you, okay? Because he takes every single side of the argument, and he'll bring up some obscure little fact that he finds some analytic thing to try to roll it out there. But he's got nothing else to do all day. A lot of estrogen running around his house right now. So I understand what Phil's all about. Okay. I love Phil. He's a great guy.
Drew L. Grumpy.
I would argue that Pittsburgh has been longer overdue than us though, as far as pulling the plug. True. The
Yep.
thing is, let's say this team had, Tampa Bay is going to be in the same situation as Pittsburgh is now in 3-4 years. Same situation. How do you pull the plug when you still have Stamkos, Kucherov, Vasilevsky, Hedman, even though they're in the mid-30s? How do you pull the plug on those guys when they've won your Stanley Cups?
It's
really,
tough
really tough. Much tougher. And they're still good players.
Yeah.
But when you got guys like that making all the money, you can't, and you're giving away draft picks every year, you have nothing to backfill your organization. Same thing like the Islanders, except they have more talent than we have. That's why they're able to stay on top longer than us. I mean, it's the same thing I've been saying about the Islanders. Same thing with those teams. There's going to be a day of reckoning for them. Pittsburgh first. You're seeing it in Washington already. Same thing. And then you're going to see it in Tampa. You're going to see it in Boston. Boston at least has not been giving up all their first-round draft picks. They still got some guys in the pipeline, so a little bit smoother transition. But look at Washington and Pittsburgh and us. Every year trading one first, and Tampa Bay too. Every year trading away first-round draft picks. Every single year. Eventually got to pay the piper.
Yep, for certain we do. Joseph C. said here, Phil has to double down on his point that Sorokin isn't the biggest reason why the Islanders are in the playoffs. Yeah, I do agree. He is just trying to double down. Phil's facts, doubling down in his position, and he's sinking like a guy in mud.
He's the only reason we're making the playoffs.
Correct.
The only reason.
He never admits to being wrong. No,
Never.
Occasionally, very rarely he does. He does occasionally. Come on, be fair. Occasionally he does. Chris Smith said, it doesn't matter. They will get steamrolled by whoever they play.
True.
The Islanders. Yep. Pittsburgh's in a tough spot because they're not going to trade Malkin, Crosby, or Letang, even though it's definitely time to start over. Yep. Gotta be.
It was one team that successfully did it and kept their players. One team, Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah.
They kept Kopitar, Doughty, Dustin Brown. Kept those three guys. They went through
Quick.
Jonathan Quick. That's right. He's gone now. But yeah, Jonathan Quick. They went through that rebuild. Okay. Went all the way down the bottom. Those guys are still there, but they started that rebuild a little bit earlier. Right now, the guys are getting up there in age. Now they're in their early 30s, but they've totally rebuilt the team in just 4 or 5 years. Totally rebuilt the team. That's a good general manager right there. Whoever they got.
Like, you look at what they've done. They also hit on draft picks, right? That's they made smart decisions on draft picks. You know, when was it the time period that they won? I'm trying to remember. They're giving up first round pick. Okay, this year, 2017 must have been when the decline started. Okay,
I don't know what year they last won. Was it 2014? I think that the last time they won a cup, I think they beat the Rangers.
The last time they won, was in 2014.
Okay.
They won in 2014, then 2015 again. Hey, we're still going after it. Oh, Zarnak. Okay, gotcha. 2016 and then 2017, things kind of started headed downwards.
Yep.
But I mean, you're looking, they're hitting. Well, not really in this 2018 draft, but I mean, Turcotte really hasn't even hit. Bjornfot, sure.
Right.
Kylie,
smart moves. They had a lot of guys in the minors who were able to come up. They took their lumps. The only guy, this Byfield guy, the only guy he ever plays well against is us.
Yep, I was about to say he's a guy who's been relatively underwhelming, but it's like they've collected a lot of young players through trading for prospects as well as through draft, and that's helped them out. Simple as that. So
they know what they're doing. I don't know if Luke Robitaille is the GM for that team or not.
Drew L. Grumpy, I'll let you read that.
Joseph C. It's the same in corporate America. Phil's mentality is don't apologize, double down.
Oh man. Monty McClare, or no, I'm sorry. This is Sacramento Kings. Damn, hold on a second.
Yeah, Sacramento Kings, not Los Angeles Kings.
Rob Blake, general manager.
Rob Blake. Okay, Rob Blake. Good job by Rob Blake, right?
Sure.
Remember, he went right from the ice and went to their front office. And within a year, he was the GM.
Some people do that really well. Other organizations don't do a great job of identifying.
He's done a great job. He's done a great
Coach
job.
Tommy B, what's up? How are you? Rick Roma says the Rangers win tonight means that Tampa Bay might be cranky tomorrow.
I think Tampa Bay is going to play well tomorrow. Particularly, even especially if they lose this, they're like, that's a game we let get away. We came out flat. We'll see.
Okay. Grumpy. Frank D. Grumpy.
This was more entertaining than last year's total collapse, but it's going to suck seeing the playoffs pulled out from under them in 4 games. They did that to themselves, though playing mediocre. Yeah.
Coach Tommy B says Florida plays Toronto when they will be playing for nothing at home. Same with Toronto. Same with Carolina. Yep.
Okay. I think Florida will make the playoffs. I do. I think they'll make the playoffs.
Mikey D, grumpy old man.
You guys think ownership is okay with where we're at? Are they okay with our 2 rivals looking 10 times better than us now? And in the future, Lou will continue to drag us down. Engvall 5. Okay.
Engvall 5 years by $5 million upcoming.
No,
is what Mikey D says.
No. No. He's a third liner. 2 years, $3 million per. That's it. That's where I'm going for him. 2 and 3. That's it.
Oh man, I'll tell you.
And do you think ownership is okay with where we're at? I don't think they really care. I think they want to be profitable. I don't know how important it is to win a cup. I think they just, whatever the old man says, yeah, let him do what he wants. Look at what's the bottom line? We're not going to overextend on these guys. Just, yeah, they're all great guys. Yeah, we like to, cook up the old barbecue, cook some, some steaks and hamburgers and dogs for the kids. They're great guys. Yeah, go ahead, guys. Yeah, play with my daughters, play with my sons out there, play little yard hockey in the back. That's all I think they care about.
James S. said, guys, you were talking about hot dogs. Have you ever had a Seattle dog? It's a hot dog with a bagel. Hot dog roll. What the heck? Oh, so it's like a bagel as a hot dog roll.
I've never had that, but I have
these grilled onions and diced bacon. No, I'm not sure about all that. I could do like a bagel, maybe as like a hot dog bun with some bacon on top, sure, but not the cream cheese. No,
now I've done where I'm cook hamburgers and put them on top of bagels. It's pretty nice. Nice toasted bagel. Little butter on there.
Yeah, that sounds really healthy, Grumpy. Butter on your.
I didn't say it was healthy. I said it tasted really good.
Point of Curtis says, boys, holy shit. What the F is going on? Holy effing hell. Coach Tommy B says, we won't have Romanoff versus Tampa. He might miss the last 4 games of the regular season. Oof.
Well, that's not good news.
No, it's not good news. Upper body injury. I'm not sure what it is. Is it concussion? I don't know.
That was face, right? Didn't he like bang his face on the ice or something?
I don't remember. Okay. Ponybear Curtis says here, good news is that Pittsburgh is freaking ass. DJ, you need to go back to be a human fence rider, the Switzerland of answers, not the king of millennial meltdowns and hot takes.
I agree.
Okay, Pony Boy. I do what I do. As much as I like Engvall, the number one priority for him this offseason is, he needs to get his ass in a weight room and eat more calories. Plain and simple. He's too soft and skinny. I just think he's just a soft mentally. He does not play a physical brand of hockey.
Okay.
That's all it is.
He is absolutely not going to be doing that. He
Correct.
is what he is at 26, 27 years old. He is what he is.
Yeah.
Just that plain and simple.
Penguins, last 3 games. Yep. Detroit,
Chicago, and Columbus.
Yep.
I could see them losing to all those teams. I really could.
Okay. I'm not downplaying Pittsburgh that bad. I'm not considering Pittsburgh that lowly.
I could see them lose to Columbus last day of season. I could see them. I think they'll beat Chicago, but
I keep saying this. I'm sorry. I'll let you finish.
I think they'll beat Detroit and lose to Columbus.
Crosby, Malkin, and Letang are going to, when it matters the most, they're going to strap the thing up, and they will allow 0 shots if that's what it takes with that sieve in net. They'll just play 6-on-5 all game. I just feel like at one point where if it comes to the freaking brass tacks, they're going to find a way. Brian Jennings says here, it'd be nice if we had some scoring. Boring team to watch. I'd rather see a young and exciting team. Yep, I agree.
True.
Charles Dittmer says here, we might be better off playing Boston in the postseason.
No, it doesn't matter.
They'll do the same. We've played Boston and Carolina 7 times this year. We have 1 win. And that first win was the first time we played Carolina earlier on this
After
season back in November after
they
they
had a
just played a 5-game road trip. I know. I remember, Grumpy.
Yep.
They played a 5-game road trip. They came back. Freddie Anderson's first game back playing didn't play very well or something like that. It was a long time ago. It was like in the fall. Ivan D says here, so why make the playoffs? The Islanders have no business being in the playoffs.
because they need 8 teams from each conference.
Hey, and they could get revenue for 2 home games, which the team apparently and the ownership desperately needs. Coach Tommy B said Horvat missed a golden opportunity to tie the game, that Carolina game, late on the power play. He's been underwhelming.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Do you really think that we would have deserved to have any points against Carolina?
I don't think we deserved any.
None. We got exactly what we deserved. Nothing.
Goon says, TJ and Grumpy, what are your wants and needs this offseason for the beloved Islanders hockey team? Offseason, man, Goon. We'll talk about that in the offseason. But it's a lot that depends on what's going to happen. But we'll talk, depending on what happens this postseason, we'll have our plan, Goon. But we're going to wait. We're going to enjoy the moment. We keep looking ahead too far sometimes. People criticize us, but we'll talk offseason when the season ends. Patrick Hamos says, could be the grumpy old man. Could be grumpy old man. Could be. Pony Curtis says, Grumpy, can you do an imitation of Lou eating a cracker and not realizing the cheese has slipped off? Grumpy, you do that so well.
Yeah.
You do that so well like you've had practice.
Yep. That's it.
Ye right to Pops says here, bum Horvat sucks. Paying a guy $8.5 million AAV that needs another $9 million AAV star to probably perform. Yet somehow Engvall doesn't need Matt Barzal. Palmieri doesn't need Matt Barzal. Bum Horvat sucks.
Palmieri sucks, and Engvall's just a guy.
Joseph C. Grumpy, I'm going to let you keep reading these. I'm going to run to the bathroom.
I like Georgiev, but I'd be surprised if he gets Colorado deep in the playoffs. The West is wide open, though. Yeah, but they know how to win, and they're getting hot at the right time. That's what you have to worry about. Same thing with Tampa. Goon says the real question is, if the Islanders make the playoffs, do we finally see Matt Barzal, or is he going to sit comfortably on his behind? I don't think he's going to be ready. I just don't think he's going to be ready. Like I said, if he's just skating now on his own, it's a long way from skating with the team and, being, hit and stuff like that. Long time. Islanders 91 says Barzal will make the Islanders great again. Just next year, I think. Then Tommy Baffy mentioned Florida plays Ottawa, the Capitals, Toronto, Carolina. The Capitals are a road game. Yeah, mostly home games for them. Ponyboy Curtis says, TJ, in your honest opinion, and this is not time to be a human Switzerland, who would be a better general manager, Grumpy Old Man or Phil's Fiction? State your reasons why. We'll save that for when TJ comes back. Tommy Baffy says the Penguins will go 3-1. Watch. I doubt it. They might. I'm not concerned about them. Scott Levy says, Islanders playing themselves out of the playoffs and a wild card. No, I mean, all you have to do is win your last 3 games against, lesser teams. You do that, you're going to be in. I think they're going to lose to Tampa and they'll win the last 3 games. Maybe they'll win 2. I still think they'll get in. CJ Scoots says, if Tristan Jarry was our goalie, Corey Snyder would be our goalie. I think Corey Snyder is just as good as Tristan Jarry at this stage. Andre Minasian says, it's unbelievable that Pittsburgh, who is run by Ron Hextall, a tremendous goalie in his day, can't get a good goaltender. Now it's going to cost them a playoff spot and possibly his job. I just remember when he was goaltender for the Islanders one year, and it was like the worst playoff series against the Rangers. We got steamrolled by them with him in net. He was also on that Philadelphia team that started the year, I think, with a 39-game unbeaten streak and wound up losing in 7 games to Edmonton. Terrible. Tommy Baffy says, as per Lambert, no time frame for Barzal to return to practice. So he's not even close. He will not be ready to start this. I cannot believe that he'd be ready to start the playoff series. Can't believe it. Rick Rock says, hello, Rick. I believe in the Islanders. Not afraid of Boston. I certainly don't suck them off like everyone else. I do. Sorry. I love them. I love being an individual with my own thoughts and opinions. That's cool. I just think Boston's a team this year. Drew's, there was a question for you, TJ. Who would be a better general manager, me or Phil Fax?
Oh, Jesus.
It's me. The answer is me.
Yeah, I'd probably say Grumpy.
Phil's an analytics geek, so his team would only go so far. Sorry.
Coach Tommy B says, watch, Penguins going to go 3
way past that. We're at Drew's music review at 8:54.
Okay, keep reading there, Grumpy. I'll let you read that.
If we don't make the playoffs, fans will go to UBS and burn the arena down. I don't believe that will be the case.
Neither do I. Patrick Amos says here, not counting on Barzal to be back this year.
I don't.
Well, at least this season.
I agree.
Pony McCurdy says, boys, guess who has more points than Bo Horvat on the season? Grumpy, I'll give you 3 guesses.
Casper Holmstrom.
No.
Oh, I don't know who.
Croc Nelson. Think about that. The guy, okay, Bo Horvat entered this team. What was he, like 2 or 3 goals or 2 or 3 points over like a point a game pace? And Brock Nelson's passed him up already.
You know, Brock Nelson's kind of stopped scoring since we went to the defensive system again, though. Have you noticed? His numbers way down.
Saying that it's not right. You keep saying that it's just so fucking wrong.
It's true. It's damn true.
Keep reading comments. You're just wrong. I'll pull up the stats to prove you're wrong too.
Go ahead. Tristan Jarry is a legend.
There he is.
He is in the Islanders community.
That's actually not a bad Photoshop there. Is Spencer Knight in the NHLPA? If so, why? Is Ravoski injured? Spencer Knight's got some sort of like substance abuse issue that
we don't know what the problem is with Spencer Knight. And Bobrovsky is not injured. They just gave somebody else the game against Buffalo last night.
Okay, I saw that there, Pony Boy. We showed that. Thank you. John McMahon says, good evening, boys. The high school team I coach won the city champs last night. There it is, John. Congratulations.
That explains that brazen trade proposal I got sent in the fantasy baseball league.
Okay. Drew L. Grumpy.
I remember the last Florida Panthers backup goalie that played really well, got moved to an expansion team, and that sucked. Chris Dragler. Yeah, exactly.
Keep reading there, Grumpy. I'm trying to pull something up, please.
Okay. Goon says, now that I think about it, it wasn't Bill Murray's characters in both Meatballs and Stripes virtually identical. He plays almost the same character in every single movie he's in. Patrick Hamo says, LOL Grump. I don't know what I was about. Johnny Mack says, it will come down to the Islanders beating the Capitals or not making the playoffs. I think we can lose to the Capitals and to Tampa and still make the playoffs.
Tommy B just said, Shusterkin just took a stick to the family jewels.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Drew L says, it seems like DraftKings haven't updated their ads since March Madness ended 2 days ago. Yeah, they haven't. They need to get on the stick with that, or maybe they just need whoever people need to send it to us. Put up a Curtis says, boys, I have an awesome topic of conversation. Are you ready? Remember at the beginning of the season, everybody and their mothers were talking about Josh Bailey getting his number retired. Now those same freaking idiots are pontificating about how he's going to be bought out at the end of the season. Which is it? Is it possible for him to have his jersey retired and to be bought out? It's funny. You're right, because that was a topic of conversation. Oh, Bailey's an Islander legend. He's going to have his number retired. That's right. Thank you for reminding us of that point.
Why would you buy out Josh Bailey now?
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
It would be a very, very dumb move.
We're not going anywhere next year either. I hate to tell you. Not going anywhere. Team just getting older, no infusion of young talent. He's not going to sign anybody in free agency. He'll come up with some ridiculous reason why no one will come to he didn't have the cap money. He had $12.5 million last year and didn't sign anyone. Sorry. Had all that money. You remember we were told, we need this money. We got to have it. So at the end of the year, we can make a big splash at the deadline. Well, you move Bavillier and you move Ratu, which was basically a wash cash-wise for Horvat. And you still had all that money saved up.
Just to show you I'm being fair, Brock Nelson, I don't think has played great in the point department recently in the last 11 games.
He hasn't.
So last 11 games, he's got 4 goals, 2 assists to show you the games he scored in, right? Crap. No points.
Anaheim and Columbus.
Okay. No points against Washington. No points against the Kings. 2 goals against Anaheim. 2 goals against Columbus. He does have an assist against the Devils and Washington. But right now, 6 points in the last 11 games. That's not on the pace that Brock Nelson
No,
usually stays
and a
at.
lot of it coincides with the change in to the defensive system.
Sure.
And Matty B, not being there. It means he gets more focus on him now. And he's okay as a number 2. If you're going to put pressure on him to be the number 1 guy, that's just not who he is.
Yeah, that's going to be
let's see. Where are we here?
We're right here, Grumpy.
Tony,
Gungu.
oh, okay. TJ and Grumpy, you're both disappointed in the poor behavior recently displayed by former New York Jets number 1 trick and draft bust Darren Lee. I know he was arrested for something. I don't know what it was, and I don't really care. Grumpy, this is from James Farrell. Grumpy, you said last week the Islanders can beat the Rangers in the playoffs. Yes. If we somehow play against the Rangers, I feel that's a team we could beat because even though the Rangers are better than us, we always play them extremely tough. And the same thing when we're really good and they're shitty, they play us really tough. So those are the type of things, like those rivalry games, anything can happen.
So what happened to him was he beat his mother and his son.
Shouldn't do that.
Shouldn't be beating anybody, that's for certain.
Nope.
So, yep. So apparently, I don't know. We'll have to look into that story. That's a tomorrow topic of discussion there, Gungoon. And Punberg Curtis says here, which is it? We already read that one. Or I'm sorry, which is it?
Retired, or does he get bought out? Does he weasel himself onto the first line again next year and don the A on his jersey? Maybe he has a bounce back year. Okay.
Because it is a contract year, he says.
Yeah, he should not be bought out. There's no way they should extend his contract. They should strip him of the A and no guarantee of making the roster.
Sure.
If you're not good enough, you're going to play in the minors.
Yep.
That's just the way it goes.
Do something about it. Average over a point a game in the minors for 20 games. Earn your spot back. Yellow Shirt says, what first-line winger could you target in the offseason? Not that they'll be able to sign anyone anyways. There is nobody really that big that I think and Yellow Shirt. I mean, it's tough to say right now. There's going to be different pieces, but the free agency, the crop of free agents are not going to be very lush this year.
Teams are so much smarter now about locking guys up at younger age so that they have no appeal by the time they hit free agency. The only team stupid enough not to do it is the Islanders.
Yeah. Matthew C says, I hope Lou is gone.
Yeah, it's not happening.
You both. Gungun says, is Sunex a faithful viewer of the Islanders Never Say Die podcast when it's live, or does he keep a safe distance?
Safe distance.
Yep.
Sometimes he listens, but not a lot.
Not as often as he should. Brian Jennings says, good, Grumpy.
Our team is like watching a bunch of salmon trying to jump over and make it over the dam. They make it to the top, wiggle their ass off, and the current pushes them back down to where they started. True.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
I like that. James F. says here.
And except the big bear, that's the Boston Bruins, snatches them and chews the shit out of them on the side of the riverbank.
So we're one of the salmons that do not escape the many lines of grizzly bears that are just sitting there and eating all of these salmon, just trying to swim past.
All of them.
There it is. Oh, God. James F. said, Cole looks like Cole for the Yankees. Finally.
Absolutely. Looked really good again today.
Matthew C. said, rumor was 2 more years of Lou. Yep. Yeah. We were told that a while ago. That's the rumor. 2 more years at least for Lou Lamoriello. Drew L. says, I just learned that anything that this podcast wants to happen, the Property Brothers and Lou will do the opposite. Yes, it's almost like they listen to this, they get somebody to take notes, and they say, oh, they want us to start restructuring, get some draft picks. Okay, we need to keep the structure the exact same and start trading away all of our draft picks.
That's why we don't win. That's why the Islanders don't win. They don't listen to us.
Yep. And Puerto Curtis says, I'm not going to lie, boys. I'm a little nervous with Florida creeping up on us. Well, Florida's ahead of us. So they're no longer behind us. They're ahead of us now. Those 3 points that we bungled against Columbus and Buffalo last weekend are really coming to haunt us now. No longer in control of our own destiny.
Don't worry. It's going to be all right. Don't worry about it.
I hope you're not wrong because you're so dismissive of this worry now.
I have no faith. I tell you, I have less faith in the other teams than I do in the Islanders. That's it in a nutshell.
Gungun says, Grumpy, if you were awarded the Islanders general manager position, what would be some of the first moves you'd make? Quickly, Grumpy, what would you do?
There's a moratorium. the moratorium on trading first round draft picks, I'd resign Sorokin. That'd be the first thing I do. I get him locked up to an extension. Number one thing. Nothing else matters than that. That's number one. Then I start cutting dead wood, get some guys hurt, get a run over by the bus, put them on Robida Island so I can get somebody else in. There's not a whole lot you can do right now.
Are you going to do trust building exercises before the season begins? You're going to have everybody lay on the pavement or some fresh.
You got to be scared for your job. You got to be scared for your job.
Oh no, I meant more about Robida Island. You're going to have a trust exercise where everybody's going to lay next to each other. The really, really shitty players are going to run their legs over with a bus or something. That's more where I was going. Something.
I don't care, and they're all nice guys, right?
They're all great guys.
You're not paid to be a nice guy. You're
Yeah.
paid to win. And like I said, Lane Lambert has benched Bailey a number of times. Bailey, I'd say to him, dude, you're not even in our plans. Why don't you retire? You're not playing on this team. You're getting sent to the minors. We'll pay your salary. You're riding the bus. That's it. Teach the young guys how to be useless. They already know, but maybe you can help Fredo. Or maybe you could be the assistant GM for Fredo down. Could you imagine that Josh Bailey is a freaking assistant GM down there with Fredo? Ugh.
I can't imagine that, but I can imagine Josh Bailey as the assistant general manager on the New York Islanders under Chris Lamoriello, because they're both going to be general managers of the Islanders, Grumpy, not Bridgeport, New York.
We'll see.
Oliver Curtis says, okay, look, honestly, Grumpy, as much as you say, we're not going to beat Carolina, yada, 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 etc., I have a much better feeling about being the 7th seed than the 8th seed.
What's the difference? 9 out of the last 11 games, they've beaten the Islanders, period. And the one they lost this year, they came off a 5-game road trip. Stop. We're not beating Carolina. I was stunned that we beat Carolina that way. I'm stunned. Don't match up with Carolina.
James F. says, Masters starts tomorrow. Who do you guys like?
I don't know.
Couldn't even tell you who the hell the golfers are right now.
I enjoy watching the Masters, usually like the last day. Maybe the second half of Saturday, and then some on Sunday.
The Wicker Man says, baseball is really bad with the free agency. Other sports, I don't think it matters. Free agency is good for the sport because, the same team winning all the time is bad for the sport. Well, baseball's bad because they've got the flexible cap. I mean, you could just go ahead.
There is no cap. There is no cap.
The luxury tax.
Yeah, but there is no cap.
Tax. I'm just saying they could just tax the living hell out of you. And for the really wealthy owners, great. It doesn't bother them at all. Okay, nope. I'll just keep paying it because I know I'm building the brand. I'm rooting for Spieth, says James F. Coach Tommy B says, I think
we've heard that Justin Spieth is a real jerk.
I don't remember that. Okay.
Oh, yes. Tommy B says, I think Toronto is going to knock off Tampa this year. Oh, I disagree.
I'm just worried what they've got in net doesn't match up. Samsonov is not the answer.
6-3 Rangers with 6 minutes to go.
How do you know this, Grumpy? How do you know what's going on with the Rangers game as we're talking about an Islanders podcast?
I'm telepathically connected.
It's almost like you're watching the TV as we're doing a podcast
Not
again.
Quite.
That's almost what it's like. Wouldn't that just be crazy, huh? Yeah, Coach Tommy B, I'm not sure that happens. I've got more. I think I put Tampa slightly as an edge over Toronto, but maybe this is finally the year. Puttiver Curtis says, honestly, Grumpy, I know you ride Horvat's jock, but he's been underperforming without Matt Barzal.
Okay. I don't think I've ridden Horvat's jock at all. I said I like him as a player.
How big of a fan you are. Oh, I like this trade. I like Bo Horvat.
I didn't say I like the trade. I said I like the player. I would have wanted him in free agency. That's what I said. I said we gave up too much, that first-round draft pick. I did under no circumstance was I giving them that first-round draft pick. They did it. That make for me the trade not good. He has absolutely underperformed without Barzal. I'm not one of these fans who says, well, you know what? He's really good in defensive zone, which he is. He's really good at winning faceoffs, which he is. You're not paid $8.5 million to win faceoffs and play defense.
What? No.
You got to put pucks in the net. And we found out this year, of course, it could be maybe the fact that, they kind of played the run and gun style in Vancouver really helped them also. And playing in defensive structure game, we're seeing we don't score a whole lot of goals when we play this style. Yeah. And maybe, maybe just maybe that's hurt him as well. but I think he definitely needs Matt Barzal on his way. Absolutely.
Got here comment from Andre M saying TJ Taves is a surefire Hall of Famer. If what you're saying is true, then Patrice Bergeron is not a first ballot.
Go.
Patrice Bergeron has over 1,000 points. How many Selkies does Patrice Bergeron have compared to Jonathan Taves?
I don't know.
I think they both have a Messier, but I look at the awards and accolades. You're gonna have to make me pull that up. Continue reading here. Comments. Grumpy.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
CJ Scoot.
CJ Scoot says Anze Kopitar will make the Hall of Fame too, even though he was barely a point per game player. Playing a solid two-way game counts for something. It especially counts for something when you're the captain on multiple Stanley Cup winning teams. That really matters. TJ doesn't think so, but it really matters in the grand scheme of things.
He's got a Selke, a Messier, and a Conn Smythe. Patrice Bergeron has got a King Clancy. He's got 5 Selkies and a Messier. Yeah, it's a little bit. I'd say Patrice Bergeron has a little bit more of a robust trophy case.
Defensive forward.
Yeah.
This guy's got a Conn Smythe. They got the Messier, which is like the Players Award for best player. They're making the whole both guys.
You know
both guys are
you know what they do for two-way forwards? They give them something called the Selke Trophy.
You want to know what they do for two-way forwards who are captains of Stanley Cups? They get in the Hall of Fame. Here's the thing. Bergeron, if they win Stanley Cup again this year, well, Bergeron's an automatic anyway. He's even more automatic.
He's going to win another Selke again this year, Bergeron. Come on.
I don't know if he will this year or not. Ponyboy Curtis says, boys, how freaking cool would it be to see Edmonton versus Toronto? My God. Come on. That'd be so, it would be good. Every game would be like 7. I think the last game was 7-4 Toronto, or maybe Edmonton. I don't know. I think it was Toronto 7-4. I mean, I think the NHL would love that actually. McDavid against Matthews scoring, 8, 9, 10 goals a game. They'd love that.
By the way, Kopitar has more Selkies than Jonathan Taves, which I was not aware of. They both have one Messier each. He's also got a Lady Bing, but nobody else has a Conn Smythe. But okay.
They're all going to the Hall of Fame.
Anze Kopitar has 300 more career points than Jonathan Taves. That matters. That matters. I'm sorry, that matters.
They're all going to the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame.
It must be the Hall of Very Good now. All you need is 800 points and to play a two-way game to make the Hall of Fame, I guess.
All Hall of Famers. What can I tell you?
Okay. Here you go, Grumpy. Patrick Hamos.
Agree, Grumpy, old man. I think TJ just doing
devil's
advocate on those Blackhawks teams were awesome and worthy of the Hall. No, he's not.
I'm not joking around.
He's not, because believe me, I know the way TJ operates. If he thinks that one thing is right, nothing else could even remotely be correct. He has to put them down just to say that his is right. It's because he's millennial. That's what it is.
Stick it where the sun don't shine. TJ, the meme I sent you. I'll look at that here. Ponyboy Curtis, Grumpy.
TJ, can you pull up a video of Don Vito from Viva LA Bam and I don't know what the hell this is. It sounds stupid. Let's move on.
Okay.
Next comment.
All righty, Grumpy. I'm not looking at it right now. Keep
have you ever noticed how bushy?
Up, Frank? How are you?
Hello, Frank. I'm sure Frank will be commenting again. Ponyboy Curtis, everything about Kyle Palmieri is manscaped. Dude is one hairy MRFer. That's
okay,
after Ponyboy mentioned that he has bushy eyebrows. Tommy Baffy, Mark Spatoro says Tommy Baffy because Tampa Bay is classless players. I disagree. Killorn is wondering why he got sent to the box. Give me a break. He just slashed the goalie in the privates.
Okay, Grumpy. I'll get back to reading here because you're just stammering about. Rick Roma says
I just stammered about. Maybe every single
you shit on me every time I read. You shit on me every time I read poorly. You were just stammering about.
God, you're pathetic.
Rick Roma said, didn't the Blackhawks beat Tampa in the Stanley Cup Finals? TJ's narrative blown to bits. The team wasn't the same. The team wasn't the same. Rick Roma was not
the same players, same guys on it. Ponyboy Curtis says, I read an article the other day that said Parise wants to come back this year, age 39.
Yikes.
Another article which stated Trotz is going to try to sign Mayfield this offseason. Mayfield will be gone.
We're going to lose him. We're going to lose him for nothing. Now, this is a meme that Drew sent us here. Let's watch. Don't get me started, Grump. Don't get me started. Don't says Lou when Andrew Gross asked him a controversial question. I wouldn't even say it was a controversial question he asked, but here's the response. Don't get me started, Grump. Don't get me started. I'll tell you, that response that he had to Andrew Gross, I think, was just smug asshole. I was like, yikes. Hard to root for a guy like that. The Barry Trotz Revenge Tour, says Drew L. Charles Dittmer says, in the past, a 20-goal scorer was a third liner. Now they're $8.5 million a year type of player.
Very true.
Vinny Trocheck got destroyed by Corey Perry. Oof. And Bo Horvat is a -7 as an Islander. Aho is with Scott Mayfield. Or maybe they're okay. Is Aho back in the lineup already?
I guess for tomorrow night. If
and Bolduc is with Dobson. That must have been the lineups, I guess, yesterday in practice or something.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, honestly.
Chubby Cheese 69 says Chris Lamarillo told me he will play for the Islanders when he becomes a general manager.
Hey, that's more games than he ever played in college.
Looky there. He's going to help the team out. He's going to be playing on the ice there with the guys. Isn't that great? He'll be a Make-A-Wish guy. AJ Piazza said, did you guys enjoy Lou giving Fredo props for signing Hudson Fashion? You should have saw last episode, AJ. We talked about it ad nauseum for about a good solid 45 minutes.
It was really good. I had to say, I never watch I'm like, oh, look at that. That is good stuff right there.
Grumpy's like, man, he said, I never watch our podcast or listen to it, but that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
Drew L said, man, by the way, TJ is acting tonight. I feel great being a Knicks fan. They're in the opposite trajectory of the Islanders.
Wow.
Man, by the way, TJ's acting tonight. Okay. I don't know I'm acting, but AJ Piazza said, I can't wait to have Zach Parise back next year because he said he wants to.
I don't care. I don't care. It's sometimes you got to cut the fucking string, right?
Did he really say that? I wasn't seeing any articles about Zach Parise, but this is just.
I don't want him back. I don't want him back.
Hey, let's run it back, baby. Can we
get he's going to want to raise? You know he's going to want to raise too. He doubled his salary from last year to this year, doubled it. Who's to say he doesn't want double it again? Well, look at what I did. When I'm a third liner, I scored 20 goals. I know 5 of them were empty nets, but hey, they all still count the same. Stop. Move on from him. At some point, move on. I know he wants to play there. No accountability. Don't have to be good. Doesn't matter if the team wins. They cut his ass loose in Minnesota. Look at Minnesota. Look at us.
Holy shit. Just take a little look-see here. Oh, my God. This is by Kevin Kurtz. And no, ladies and gentlemen, this was not tweeted out on April the 1st, so this is not an April Fool's joke. Zach Parise did tell me today that he wants to keep playing after this season. Not surprising, but worth reporting nonetheless as he turns 39 this summer. I think Zach Parise has played extremely well this year, but you bring him back and it's the same exact shit. Hey, let's run it back again, guys. Let's run it back. That's exactly what you're doing year after year.
Another failed year.
I'm fine if they brought him back, but you have to start moving other pieces and restructuring the team. Because bringing back Zach Parise is a harbinger to say, oh, we're just bringing back everything we had last year and hoping that's going to work.
I guarantee you, if he wants to come back, he will play for the Islanders next year.
I think he's a valuable player to have, but we're not competing for a cup next year either unless we have some serious restructuring of the team. But man, oh man,
we're not going anywhere anytime in the future. We're not winning. Any chance we had was predicated on us loading up for this year's draft and transitioning. That was it. The stupid old bastard who's the general manager gave that up when he traded for Bo Horvat, gave away whatever we had, didn't trade Varlamov and Mayfield and Parise at the deadline. Didn't do it. Where they loaded up on talent, let's start transitioning to the next phase. Refused to do it.
Because we want to have
wasn't even an option. We never even thought about trading Varlamov. A fucking backup. A backup who's played 3 games since the deadline. 3 games since the deadline. Two games since the deadline. Do you think he's playing one of these last 4 games? No freaking way.
Well, let me correct myself. He's played 3 games. He started 2. He came in mop-up duty when Sorokin got.
He's nothing but a mop. He's a dirty mop. That's what he is.
He's played in 3 games. You're correct. And every single one of those games has resulted in a loss for the Islanders.
Loss. Why not move him? Why
He's
not
crucial.
move
He's
Mayfield?
crucial, Grumpy, because we're going to run a 1A, 1B goalie the entire postseason if we make it.
It's such a mismanagement of assets. Move those guys in the deepest draft in years.
Decades.
Where you could have reloaded the team. Could have done it. Chose not to. Chose to gut the farm system, get rid of all your draft picks, roll back old bastards out there. He's honestly, he's one of the worst general managers in the league right now. I think he's probably bottom 5 in the league. And I think that's being generous. Bottom 5 in the league. He's a failure, an absolute failure. The only one worse is Fredo, the future failure of the New York Islanders. They both suck, both of them. I probably got a contract hit out of me tonight after Lou Murta hears this one.
I was about to say, Grumpy, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree. Let Grumpy ride the hot hand. I don't disagree, Grumpy.
I'm sick of him. I'm sick of him. Where'd that question come from? What? I mean, after a gross bumble dumped all over that because he's too scared to ask the question. Let me ask a question to you, Lamoriello. I'll ask you a question, Lamoriello. Don't you feel like a fool, like an absolute moron, not trading those guys on the last year of their deals when your team sucks and gets rolled in the first round of the playoffs? Don't you feel like you're the stupidest general manager to ever sign a contract? Because that's what it looks like to me from here. You suck. And here's the thing. That's really not a question. It's more of a statement. But ask him if he felt like a moron for not making those moves when anyone knew to do it. How do you feel about Washington? Did you like what Washington did? They moved guys, got assets, and got young guys back. What did you do? You traded all your young guys, traded all your draft picks, and now you want to sign a 39-year-old Zach Parise back, probably for a multi-year deal. Why don't you give him $10 million a year too?
Grumpy, are you saying that you're not excited about Zach Parise? That's kind of what I gather from that rant.
It's just doubling down on failure. What did he ever win in New Jersey? Nothing. What did he ever win in Minnesota? Nothing. What does he ever win here? Nothing. He's a freaking loser too. Zach Parise, sorry, bro. Get the hell out. I don't think he's ever been a point per game player, has he? A couple of years?
He probably has.
He's an average. He's a ham and egg or two. He's a good player on shitty teams. For us, he's fine as a third liner. I don't want 39-year-old. Give a young guy a chance. Oh.
Zach Parise has as many points as freaking Jonathan Taves. You think Zach Parise makes the Hall of Fame?
No, because he's never won anything. He's never won anything. If you win, you get in. When you're just a ham and egger who just kicks around, no, you don't get in.
He made an all-star game once.
Woohoo! Whoop-de-doo!
Back in 2008, 2009
one all-star game. Zach Parise's made one all-star game. And people say, like, oh, Zach Parise, he's great. No.
Yeah.
He's a third liner.
Yeah.
Anytime we try to elevate him in the lineup, you know what he turns into? He turns back into a freaking pumpkin.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I was trying to stay happy, but then I heard Grumpy's rant. I'm like, all those things are freaking true. When you think about it, it just pisses me off too.
Lamoriello he's bottom 5 general manager in the league right now. Bottom 5.
For what
bottom 5.
For what he's doing to this team, he may be one of the. I think he's very deficient as a general manager. He only looks at the current and present situation, and we're going to be picking up the scrap heap. We're going to be freaking trying to sort our way through the scrap heap.
What about Hunter? Oh, hold on.
Hudson Fasching.
What about Hudson Fasching? That's the question that Lou gave me to ask. Oh, so here you go, Lou. Oh, you're going to have to ask Chris Lamoriello. He's the one who knew.
Okay,
so he knew about bringing in a fourth line player. Congratulations, Lamoriello. You're great. You're great. You and Fredo.
No, he said, yeah, my God damn, I tell you, oh, don't get me. Yeah, I'd put that anger out of my heart, Grumpy, and you brought it back. You brought it back, Grump.
It sickens me. It sickens me with him as general manager.
Rick Roma says, McCarr always has the puck, so he rarely even has to worry about playing defense. I can't even tell if McCarr is good in the defensive zone.
I don't think he is.
Lou said it wasn't even his idea in his mind there to trade Varlamov at this deadline.
Yeah.
I share the same sentiment.
Never crossed our minds. What kind of general manager are you? You should be thinking about trading everyone off of this team. There's, don't look at it. One or two guys who, I mean, you can't trade. So at this point, would you be opposed to trading Bo Horvat? If you get a couple first-round draft picks for him, I would. 2 first-round picks for Bo Horvat. See you later.
Oh gosh, you know what, Grumpy? Hold on. I know something's going to make you. I think this is the good thing to do for the show right now, Grumpy. Hold on a second. I'll put this up.
Has hockey sense, and he knows the game, so he's fit in very well without question.
Hey Lou, I understand. Your whole career, your belief in strength in the net. And that's not just one guy, right? But given Sorokin, playing 18 of 23 games, is it fair to maybe question, if there had been a chance to trade Varlamov for future assets?
Where'd that question come from?
That have helped the organization maybe more than, him really not playing down the stretch. I mean,
the fact that they all just had this uncomfortable ask, like, I can't believe he just asked that question to Lou. I can't believe he just went out on a limb there. Oh,
everyone's asking, where'd that question come from? It's something that everyone's been talking about all year, Lamoriello. I mean, are you that clueless that you don't realize that when you have a UFA come up, you trade him to get more assets because they're not going to be on your team next year? He's going to re-sign Varlamov at an overinflated deal for too many freaking years. That's a guarantee. He's going to re-sign Parise again, too much money. And we're going to suck ass again next year. Worse than this year. Worse than this year.
Where did that question come from?
No, I'm just curious.
It was never even a thought in my mind.
Why not?
I think it's the best way I can answer that question.
Really?
You signed Fashion. What have you seen in his game?
You'd have to go to Chris Lamoriello.
Oh,
he had everything to do with that.
Everything to do with that.
His signing. That was his person that he had looked at. He thought that he could have been a player that could have been called up on short term and maybe even more because of what he saw. And obviously, he was right.
What can you share about the
there it was.
Blow me, Lamoriello.
I just love how he just
I've never seen a team
goes around the question.
I've never seen a general manager be so bad and be so revered. Toronto knew what they were doing. They wouldn't even let him sit in the office. Yeah, just stay at home, Lou. Just stay at home. We really don't want you around the team. We'd rather not win any playoff series than have you around here anymore. We'd rather make the playoffs every year, never win, than have you as general manager. That's what they said. You know what? Devils. How were the Devils at the end of his reign of terror? They sucked out loud. Toronto just stripped them. No. They're like, no, we're not doing whatever you're saying. They had too many guys, Shanahan, all those guys at the top. They're like, what is this old fossil talking about? We're not doing what he's saying. Just sit up in your office. Yeah, you'll be the GM in name only. We're not letting you touch this team. That's when he said, better get Fredo a job. Where can I go? Oh, this Islander team. New owners? They're stupid. They'll take me and Fredo. Yes, I know I'm 75 years old. I know I'm old as shit. Shouldn't even be allowed to drive a car, let alone run a hockey team. No, that's okay. Let's see if hey, Bettman, put me in front. Put a good word in for these two goofs, Malkin and Ledecky. Put me in touch with them. But no, actually, the phone's like this. Yeah, this is Lou Lamoriello, the great Lou. I know Gary Bettman put me in. Hey, I want to come to this team at the end of the year. Toronto wants me, but I'm going to go. I want to be for the Islanders, and for extra bonus, my son Fredo could run the hockey operations for the Bridgeport team. Yeah, don't worry. We're going to get those Islanders back running good. Yeah, come on. This guy sucks.
Oh, man.
He sucks. Can you name a draft pick that he's drafted who's turned out to be good? I can't name one. Not one.
And I know you don't just
I do not
clarification purposes.
I do not count Dobson and anybody from that draft because he was there.
Going off Ruslan Ishikov, Bodie Wild draft, etc.
Right. Nothing because he didn't draft them. That was the previous regime. He was there 5 days before that draft. No. Every single one after. Is there any draft pick that's come on and stuck would say, man, that's a good draft pick?
One player, maybe Samuel Bolduc.
He's played what, 10 games for this team?
I said maybe. And we traded the other one who looked like he had talent.
None. No one. No one. He's been here 6 years now. It's going to be 6 years. And no one from his draft has mounted to anything. 6 freaking years. Not one pick is stuck on this team. 6 years.
5.
6.
Let's do 5.
It's going to be 6 this year.
Well, if you're not going to give him credit for anybody in the Dobson draft, you got to give him 5 years. Five drafts then.
5 years of failure.
Sure.
Hey, remember the drive for 5? 5 years of failure. That's what this organization is known as. 6 sucks. 6 years of suck.
6 years of suck. Oh, man. Rob G said, we're in it to win it. Hey, what's up, TJ Grumpy and everybody? Drew L said their chicken sandwiches at UBS are good, but they're mad expensive. Tommy Shredder says, is it time to start the worry here, guys? Are we still a lock for the postseason? Yes, but anytime we start thinking about that madman Lou Lamoriello, just sets Grumpy and I off, that's for certain. What about Kyle Palmieri? Says
He
Rob.
blows. He blows.
Patrick Himo says, it's a great year, boys, for this team. There it is. It's a great
I don't know
year.
what team he's talking about. It's not the Islanders.
Nick D said, worst case scenario, we miss the playoffs. Do we think that Lou will still be around?
He's not going anywhere.
Phil is who he is. Troll him back. Oh, there it is. I know Phil is just a troll. I just love sending TJ stuff. Okay, let me ask you this, Grumpy. I'm going to ask you what's worse. Phil put up back-to-back polls. He asked whether Islander fans would rather have Oliver Wahlstrom or Hudson Fasching. And then he asked, would Islander fans rather have Oliver Wahlstrom or Pierre Engvald? And all these fans are saying they'd rather have Hudson Fasching and Pierre Engvald.
Okay. Because all these fans just goosed. Oh, look, Pierre Engvald. He's had what, 10 points since he's been here? I don't even know how many points he's had.
Not that many. You're overestimating.
Okay. I don't know what he's put up since he's been here, but he skates fast. He's soft as shit. Doesn't fit in with the team, by the way. Does not fit in with this grinding style. Does not. Wasn't good enough to be anything more than a ham and egger player for Toronto. What he is.
We're celebrating 8 points in 14 games.
We're celebrating mediocrity. Okay. And who was the other one?
And then Hudson Fasching. They'd
I
rather
like
have Hudson Fasching over Oliver Wahlstrom.
Here's the thing. Yeah. Okay. I take Hudson Fasching right now because Oliver Wahlstrom's not playing. But in the grand scheme of things, who would you want? A guy who can score or yet another bottom 6 guy? They're all bottom 6 guys. Stop falling in love with bottom 6 guys. Just stop it. You know who falls in love with bottom 6 guys? Loser teams.
Sure.
Sorry.
It's why we love our bottom 6, or it's why we loved our fourth line so much. The best fourth line in hockey. What else could you make people excited about? Oh, we've got a line who's going to go out there and fight the other guys. Yeah.
I can't even deal with people who say that shit. I'm like, you're just embracing failure.
Well, teams like Tampa are cheering on great performances on the ice. Teams like that, the Chicago dynasty.
Hey, we root for our top 2 lines. We root for our leading, whatever. Our best players are goaltender. It's not even close for second right now with Barzal out. Not even close. Who down this stretch, who's been even close to as good as Ilya Sorokin? I can't even think of anyone.
No one's even in the realm of his play.
No one else. I can't even now tell you the next best player on the Islanders during this stretch. I cannot even tell you.
Rob G said, but the Islanders will play better tomorrow. Right, Grumpy?
I think the Islanders will be better tomorrow. They'll still lose.
Rangers in Tampa looks like WWE tonight. I guess there are a lot of fights.
Tampa's going to come out. Tampa's going to come out and play hard tomorrow after tonight.
You think so? If there's a lot of, were there actually a lot of fights in a game?
I
was just kind of like mixing it up in between whistles.
I don't know. There's a lot of scrapping.
I was about to say those teams are both trying to get ready to play some playoff style hockey.
They're going to come out. They'll be better tomorrow night. Vasilevskiy gave up 6 goals tonight. They will be better as a team tomorrow. I can guarantee you that.
Drill said, Grumpy, are you speaking caveman language? What is this? I think that was with your cheese imitation.
Maybe. Maybe.
There it is. JK said, in our 50-year history, have we ever choked at the end of a regular season only to not make the playoffs?
I don't know. Does anyone even remember this is the 50th anniversary?
No,
anyone
it's
even
been
care?
overshadowed with poor play, unfortunately.
They haven't really, a 50-year anniversary. They talked about at the beginning of the year. That's it. You haven't seen anything about it since then.
It hasn't been marketed well. It hasn't been, like the designs, like they haven't pushed it a lot. They could have made it. I think because it's something to celebrate, but you're right. It's an afterthought after how this season's transpired. It really is. It's an afterthought, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Coach Tommy B said, my gut is that we make the playoffs, or if we make the playoffs, Matt Barzal will start practicing with the team as the playoffs begin.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think he might, he might come in late in the series. I just don't want him to be rushed back. No need for it. Nick D said, no show Bo for Bo Horvat. F- for Kyle Palmieri. F double minus if you're feeling special. 38 special, Zach Parise. Captain Average, that's Anders Lee. Mr. Softy, that's Pierre Engvald. Or is that Pierre Engvald or Croc Nelson? Croc Nelson, one of the two. You're right, Grumpy.
Could be half the team, honestly.
We'll get a gentleman's sweep and be done.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Might be a regular sweep, but probably gentleman's sweep.
Matthew S. said Hextall was the worst goalie in Islanders history.
I don't know the worst in Islanders history, but he was damn bad with us.
Frank says, no, Grumpy. Palmieri is great. So is Engvald. The more you badmouth them, the better they do.
Okay, and look what they're average. Even now, as good as what they're playing, the best they've ever played, they're not even half a point a game players. They are what they are. Stop overvaluing bottom pairing guys. Just stop it.
Frank says, we're winning tomorrow. And Saturday, I'll bring my little special Sophia. She's such a good luck charm. Go Islanders. I hope they beat definitely the Flyers just for the enjoyment of you guys there. We're definitely hoping if they have at least one, if they have to win if they only win one game left, I hope they win Saturday for you, Frank.
I'll tell you what, if we lose tomorrow to Tampa, which I think we will, and then if we lose to Philadelphia, I can't think of anything really worse. I hate Philadelphia.
If we lose to Philly and Tampa, I'm starting to hit the panic bell.
Oof, yeah.
Especially if Pittsburgh. Could you imagine if Pittsburgh and Florida win the next 2 games each? Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh my God. Then we don't make the postseason.
No, if both those teams win the next 2
and we lose,
we lose 2, we're not. It's who can be 3-1 over the last 4 games. Those are the teams that are going to make the playoffs. Who goes 3-1? 3-1, you make the playoffs. You don't make it probably.
Frank says, I hope so. Palmieri is the MVP as we win too. Okay, so yeah, to spike grumpy old man. We got here.
Palmieri sucks. I can't be any nicer than that.
Coach Tommy B says this year's free agency crop is terrible. Yep, it is. It's
every year's free agency crop is sucking because the smart GMs are being really intelligent by locking guys up at younger ages
for the prime of their career
for more money than they would get, playing the game like oldster GMs like Lamoriello like to play. Yeah, they get paid more, but in the long run, they save money against the cap while the players are still in their prime. Not this old fossil, not him.
Frank
He'll bring a guy right up to free agency so he could get the biggest contract ever. He is so stupid, it scares me.
Frank says, man, I wish Matt Barzal would come back tomorrow. He's back skating on his own right now, Frank. So that's positive. So that's good news. Not sure how great, but is good. JK says 100. Oh my God. I figured that goalies wore cups. Yeah, they do. They do wear cups, Frank. Brock has been bad with that stupid bird cage on his head. Once that comes off, he'll be back.
No, it's not that. It's not.
Rob G said Wally would have been great to have right now, too. Yeah.
Has potential to put the puck in the net. I don't know. We don't have any of those guys. Everything's a scrappy-ass goal.
Patrick Hamo said, Grumpy, you're my podcast and I like you, but don't ever take sides with the Rangers against the Islanders ever again. The Pacino stare.
It's from Godfather 1.
There it is. Fredo.
Mike, you don't talk to a man like Bo Green like that.
Love the bear moment, Grumpy. Oh man. And it's Masters Week, baby. Guys, I heard on a podcast that the Mets scoreboard is too big. Discuss tomorrow, Frank or James. Remind us tomorrow. That will be something we talk about on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. Remind us of that tomorrow, James. Brian Jennings says playoff berth is just going to further expose our team's pre-existing flaws. Yep, it will.
Yep.
Joseph C. said, I don't think that Kane signs a veteran minimum deal, but he'll want to be with the Rangers. I think he signs a 2-year contract.
He's absolutely not signing a veteran minimum deal. He might take less money.
Friendly. Yeah.
I don't know what his contract is now. I think it was like 11 million or something like that. I don't know what it was. He's not going to get that much, but
like
he's going to get paid.
Or something.
Yeah, he's going to get paid.
Got here a comment. Frank says, I hope we sign back Engvald and the Hudson Hornet.
Why? There's 1,000 Engvalds and Hudson Hornets out there. 1,000. They're out there all the time. There's a plethora of Hudson Hornets, a plethora of softy Engvalds out there. They're out there. Anyone can be a bottom 6 guy. Anyone. How about signing top 6 guys?
Patrick Amos says, yes, we're beating Carolina. And we will beat all.
You know what it'd be? If we play Carolina, they're going to win 13 of the last 15.
Tony Pino says, I think we played Carolina. We win, Grumpy. Have some faith.
Oh, God.
It's like faith. Like
I watched the game.
The absence of logic, believe in faith.
Jeez.
Nick D said, I can't remember who said it, but is Marner's contract up this year? And do you think that Lou will sign him? Just asking. No, we're not going to have the cap space after the way this guy just hands out money upon money to other players.
Would you rather have Bo Horvat for 8.5 or Mitch Marner for 11.5?
What is A? Mitch Marner 11.5.
Well, A was Horvat at 8.5.
I'm sorry. B. Mitch Marner 11.5.
There you go.
Patrick Hamo said, how could you imply that, Grumpy Old Man is watching the game? How could you? And he's not making 8.5 yet. I love that. I love when people say he's not. I know he's not making 8.5 yet, but he's going to be over the next 8 years.
He is after we get eliminated. If we're out of the playoffs in 2 weeks.
Unfortunately, Tony, the only thing I can think of in my mind jumps, I guess, to conclusions and says, wow, this guy has 11 points in 26 games. I go, oof. I wonder what that result's going to look like next season. Got a comment here from we should sign Sorokin ASAP because goalies will get paid more. So lock him in now. And he's definitely while he's semi-affordable. Well, he's not semi-affordable. He's a top goalie in the NHL, and you cannot sign him to an extension, I don't believe, until this offseason.
Yeah. Well, but they can do it. Will the old man do it? Or is he going to let him get to unrestricted free agent? Let's make sure we bring back Varlamov. Let's cut him, make him $3.5 million for a backup role. I mean, wouldn't that be, well, he's taking a pay cut. The guy doesn't play. He's freaking backup.
Patrick Amos says, TJ, you're absurd on this. I guess talking about the Chicago Blackhawks. Who's playing goal for the Lightning tonight? That was Vasilevsky. Brian Jennings says here, Brent Sutter, which should be in the Hall of Fame then. I don't think so. However, he was great. Great 2 players with cups.
Yeah, he wasn't the reason why we're winning Stanley Cups, though. He was a passenger. And I don't know how many he's won. 2 cups? I don't know.
Hold up here.
I mean, I don't know.
Won 2 cups.
Won 2 cups. But he was like young at that point. He was not, a big member of the team at that point in time. He was never the guy, Brent Sutter, got to worry about him. No.
He had a 100-point season once.
Was it during the cup years? No.
It was 84-85, so right after.
No.
Continuing along here. The Hall of Fame. Let's talk more about Palmieri. He's a hairy bastard, says Patrick Amos.
That's more than he deserves to be talked about.
Hunter says here, Carolina may play hard versus Florida because number 1 in the Metro, Is
Okay.
between them and the Devils. They may not be set in stone. No, the Carolina's already secured that number 1 in the Metro.
3 points up. They have 5 games to play. Jersey has 4. No, sorry, not happening.
Carolina would have to, and see the unfortunate thing is Carolina plays them the last game of the year. So unless Carolina loses the next 3 games or something crazy like that, that's right. They got a game in hand and they're 3 points ahead of the Devils.
Yeah.
Carolina would have to collapse, and that's also counting on the Devils to win every game too.
With the good team, that's a 5-point lead.
Yep.
When a suck squad, it's only a 3-point lead. Well, a good team, that's a 5-point lead.
James F. said, guys, 29 years ago today, we lost Kurt Cobain. Wow.
Oh, too bad.
Long time. Saturday, I'll be wearing my Bo Horvat alternate jersey, section 105, and he will score for us. Yeah. I hope so, Frank.
Be the first goal he scored since Barzell's out.
The first 5-on-5 goal he scored since the beginning of March. Hasn't scored a 5-on-5 goal in over a month.
Yikes.
This is the guy that was the big trade deadline acquisition that we needed to have. That was so fantastic. That would help our team so much.
When did he exactly sign that extension?
Oof, this offseason. We need to trade. We need a pithy way to say no show Bo. We need to get rid of no show Bo. We gotta let D-Cut know. No more no show Bo. Lou is looking in amazement when asked about trading Varlamov for future assets. Tells me he is so out of touch with reality, says John McMahon.
Just the thought that you wouldn't even entertain an offer when you know a guy. I guess he's probably already re-signed under the table.
Probably.
He said earlier in the year, I want to stay here. Why wouldn't he? No accountability. I like living here. We don't have to win. I like all the guys. It's like a country club there. It's the cul-de-sac crew. They're called the cul-de-sac crew for a reason.
Oh, goodness gracious here. Grump, Lou is a bottom 3 general manager.
I was just going to say bottom 5.
Parise is great, says Frank. If he plays cheap, keep him on the 4th line. I don't mind having Parise, but the only thing, again, I just worry
His
about
salary's going to go up.
I worry about the philosophy of the Islanders. We bring back Parise. We're taking the same approach of run the same exact thing back again and hope for a different result. That is by definition insanity.
What it means is yet another roster spot that's just locked up that some young guy has no opportunity to overtake.
Durando, no freaking shot. Keep pushing it in freaking Bridgeport.
Doesn't matter.
Ishikov, no thanks. Keep pushing it in Bridgeport. You need more seasoning. But Simon Holmstrom, maybe we can elevate Holmstrom to the first line. Joseph C. said, Grumpy is fired up tonight. Grumpy's hot, says Rob G. Andrew L. said, I wasn't expecting a fired up Grumpy tonight. I know.
Or Lamarillo. Here's the thing. Everything is playing out exactly how I saw it 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. You could see it was coming down to this, and I'm not surprised. And then we talked about that jabroni.
John McMahon said, keep it up, Grump. I'll get you to approve that baseball trade.
Oh, my gosh, John, that was the worst. That was terrible. I already have 2 catchers.
Hold on.
Don't worry. Well, I'll try to work something out, but you're going to have to give something up.
Frank says, Grumpy, what is Varlamov?
Backup. Freaking backup. Backup.
Oh, man.
He's a guy who holds open the door for when the guys come off the ice.
Frank says, come on, please don't tell me Shitty Fredo has a chance. Please, God, no. I'm telling you, he does have a chance to be the general manager. I unfortunately believe that in the future. Look at what they say. They don't bring up all how great my son's doing unless there's something he's trying to, an angle.
Chris Lamarillo, get that name out there.
Yep. Frank says, I love the grumpy old man like this. And Parise is not the problem. You're right, Frank.
Okay.
Parise is not the problem. I just have an issue with the philosophy.
Okay. He's not the problem, but you want to know what else? He's not the solution. You need to find a solution. Are you happy with the team that is scraping? And here's the thing, all these young teams that are nipping at our heels, they're just going to be getting better while we're getting older and worse. What happened? I mean, are you just happy with a team that just scrapes into the playoffs to get shit canned? If you're happy with that, great. I'm not.
Patrick Hamo said, our hero, Lou, the long-lived. Yeah, that's right.
Shit. D-Cut
says, fire TJ, hire D-Cut. Nice to see you, D-Cut. Mikey D says here the Rangers won. Always fun to watch the Rangers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's the problem. Lou should have traded Varley and Mayfield.
And Parise. UFAs. Here's the thing. Even if you wanted to bring them back, so what?
Yeah.
You could bring them back. They know what it's like. They're away from their house for 2 months. And then playoffs. You cash in, you can reload the team on the fly. You chose not to do that. Now you're stuck.
Freedom Fun Adventure says, good evening, friends and TJ. I guess I'm not a friend. That's no problem there, Freedom Fun. Good question by Andrew Groves. You feel if the Islanders re-sign Parise and Fashing, has skipped, or maybe they've skipped 2 opportunities to improve the roster, an on-ice product for the fans. Like both, but you got to do, I don't know, it kind of cuts off. He's just more worried about the roster spots being absorbed by, those 2 players who are not making the team better. Yep. Philosophically, I don't agree with just re-putting the same pieces back in and hoping if, we start off with a new year, it's going to fix the problem, because it's not that simple. Frank says, yeah, that reaction shows his brain is broken. Stupid Lou. Coach
Lou.
Tommy B said Biden and Lamoriello 2024.
Who'd vote for that catastrophic blunder of a ticket?
Laughing my ass off. Lou and his rotary phone. Double Up Bug Prep says Barzal and Wallstrom, what's their status? Wallstrom out for the season. Barzal just started skating on his own yesterday, so he'll be out for a while still.
I don't think he'll make it back for the playoffs. Maybe game 4 down 3-0 against Boston or Carolina. He'll come back. They'll get a big woohoo and then probably re-injure himself, be out all next year. And I hope it was worth it.
Jesus H. I'm grumpy. I'll let you read that comment here.
Patrick smoking that hopium, probably opium.
No, he's hoping. He's got it like.
Oh, I got it. Opium. Hey, that's cute. I like it.
Oh man. I like that there, Joseph. Tony P says here, how will Matthew Maggio do? Please chat about him.
He's not going to make the team.
He won't make it next year. Everybody says, "Oh, great, man!" I just looked it up. He's got 111 points in 66 games. Now they've played 3 games.
How old is he now? 21.
He's 20. He's 20 years old.
Kicking ass on those 16-year-olds.
Yeah, last year William DeFore did the same thing. I can't tell you I've watched any of the OHL games, and if anybody else says they have, they're lying too. I can watch highlights here and there, and it's good to see him dominate, but he's playing against 17, 18-year-old boys. He's a 20-year-old man. I'd expect him to be the best player out there on the ice, but it's let's see how he does in Bridgeport. It's going to take at least 2+ years in Bridgeport to see what he actually has. He's not going to immediately step in and be fantastic. Paul Mary, the F double minus. Did he draft Dobson? Says Frank. Yes, but doesn't go.
No, he did not.
I don't know if you discussed the 2 college unrestricted free agent defensemen the team signed, but both have potential. Also, Jake Pavanka made his AHL debut following college. I always liked him. I feel like he'll replace Zizekas. Yeah, he's just a bottom 6. I've liked Jake Pavanka, but he's just a bottom 6 guy.
Yeah, I like Jake Pavanka too. He's a bottom 6 guy. But here's the thing. He's got 4 years to wait before Casey's out of contract at the age of 36.
By that time period, he'll be 26, 27 years old. He'll be ready to step in.
He'll be ready for a 15-year contract.
Jesus. Paul Mary's got 10 points in the last 9 games.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
How many points did he have against the 2 really shitty teams? I think he had like 7 or 8, right?
He had like 6 points. Frank, there was a lot of points against Anaheim and a lot of points against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The same way.
And the Devils. He scored 3 points against the Devils, I believe.
Yep. Yeah. So
he really got up to play a team that traded him. He got up for that one.
I'll let you read this next one, Grump.
You guys say rough stuff going out of the game, but several teams like Tampa, who you both mentioned, would be a role model, and you want their assistant GM. Tampa has paid premiums to improve hitting and fighting. Tampa's a skilled team. They can play it any way you want. They can.
So yeah, Tampa's great. Just to answer your question here, over those last 9 games, like I always said, the last 9, because the last 11 he's got 10 points, but in the last 9 games he had 4 points against Anaheim, one of the bottom 5 team in the NHL. 1 point against San Jose. I believe they're still the worst team in the NHL.
5.
He had 2 points against Columbus or the Columbus Blue Jackets, bottom
7.
5, and 3 points against the Devils.
There you go.
He
See
said
what
no
I mean?
points in his last 3 games, but I hope he continues to produce. I've had no problem with the way Kyle Palmieri
Well,
is playing.
guess what?
Completely clear and honest.
Guess what? He's always good against teams that really suck or have goalies with no hips.
Sure.
That's when he's good. Other than that, he's invisible.
Patrick Amos, you're right. Patrick says here the 20-game win streak begins today, boys. That's right.
Is
The
that
last
Boston?
4 games.
Does Boston only have 4 games in the regular season?
Yeah, they do. They've only got, I think they
Okay.
have 4 games left. But the Islanders have 4 games left. They're going to win all those, and they're going to go on a 16 straight wins in the postseason.
Okay.
Patrick Kane will do 2 years for $5 million per. That's a sweetheart deal for the Rangers.
He's not going to do 2 years, $5 million per.
Frank says that's an awesome imitation, grumpy old man. Screw Mo Green in Fredo. Brian J says, I know, by Taze's logic, why not? He's got over 800 points. Yeah. The Sutter brothers were centered by Bob Bourne on the 3rd line during the dynasty years.
Yeah.
I'll be at the
Think
game.
about that.
Lady.
Think about that. Think about that line. They'd be our number 1 line on this team. Today, you could roll those guys out in their 60s and 70s. They'd be started. They'd be the number 1 line on this team.
And Matthew S says here, I'll be in a play. I'll be at the game this Saturday with my lady in 118. So look for Matthew S there and join. Hopefully they come home with a win against the Flyers for you. Brian Jennings says Brent Sutter had 21 points in the 1983 playoffs.
He's a good player. I never viewed him as a Hall of Famer, though.
Nick D said the only way this team gets better is to fire Lou. End of story.
Absolutely.
Yep. What's up, Frank? I agree. Solid signings with good potential upside. Got a comment here. Stop, Grumpy. I don't know what we're stopping about, but we got to. Freedom Fun Adventure says, has anybody seen Bodie Wild? A guy with great potential who showed leadership and grit and standing up for his health. And he, has proven he was right. And Lou and his experts are wrong. Lou tried to destroy Bodie Wild.
He has destroyed him.
Yeah, Bodie Wild never was able to put it together.
Okay.
I like Bodie Wild as a prospect. He just never put it together.
Here's the thing. Cut him loose then. Why keep him with your team? Cut him loose. Let me tell you something. I tell you, I think Lamoriello's got a vindictive streak a mile long. He's done it with how many guys? He holds them and holds them and holds them till they have no value. Move them. If you don't want a part of your organization, move them or just cut them loose. Why waste your time if you have no intention of ever giving those guys a shot? Hosang, same thing. Bellows, same thing. Never given legitimate shots. Just cut them loose. Just cut them loose if you don't want them.
I will tell you this. He's been playing this year for the Atlanta Gladiators in the ECHL. So we didn't want him on our team. Is the way that sounds to me.
They don't want him because he didn't toe the company line last year. Period.
I'm trying to see who the Atlanta Gladiators are affiliated with.
Are they affiliated with anyone?
Yeah, I'm sure they are. The Arizona Coyotes. So he's been playing for the Arizona Coyotes ECHL team. He just honestly, here's the thing. He was a guy who I really had high hopes for. He just never was able to put it together. And that was a guy who, did well. I mean, like when he went back as an overager, he killed it for the Saginaw Spirit in the OHL. As a defenseman, I think he averaged over a point a game. But it doesn't always translate. So guy who had a lot of it, had the speed, could be physical, just couldn't do it. Could never put it all together. Wolfman says, TJ, you think Maggio will be any good? He could be a guy who's a middle of the lineup guy. Maybe a 3rd line guy is what you're looking at there, but it's so early, way too early to tell. He's been playing against boys. How does his game and playing style look when he plays against men in the AHL? How does it look when he's playing his first taste and dose of professional hockey? And once you're in Bridgeport, you get a little bit of a better feel. But he may just be always just a 4A guy too. Maybe he still plays somewhat competent in the A, but can't do it in the NHL. That's also a possibility. Tony Cheese says, yeah, I'm here, guys. We can start the podcast here. Well, we're wrapping things up here now, Tony. Freedom Fund Adventure says, I agree. Frank and Grumpy. Lou intentionally ruined the kid's career. That's vicious. TJ, Lou buried him in the ECHL with another organization, but he's still Hounders property. Lou wouldn't let him develop.
That's true. That's 100% true. He's done it before.
He did it with Hosang.
He did it with Bellows too. He did the same thing with Bellows. I'm sorry. That's what he is. If he doesn't want to go, think about it. Bellows with the thing with the steroids. That was the end for him.
I hated that shit. They got so pissy with him using steroids. I can give a
Bodie Wild, the vaccination, Hosang. I'll never forget it. Yeah, he didn't, people said he's got a clean slate here. People said some things about it. We didn't see it, but we're going to send him down to work on those things. What the hell does that even mean? It's such nonsense when you say shit like that. And no one ever called. What, you didn't see what, Lou? You said he had a problem. People were telling you this. You didn't see it, but you wouldn't give him a shot, even though he's one of the best forwards in spring train and exhibition season. You wouldn't give him a shot, and he had a clean slate, but you're going to send him down to work on things that you've never seen. He's full of shit, is what he is.
Defensive back Cooper said, I got a second job, so I'm just getting out from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Defensive back Cooper, I've got to ask you a question. Why are you not just robbing somebody, jumping on a plane, dropping the money off and picking it up, defensive back Cooper? I think that would be a lot easier way than working two jobs, man. Just rob yourself a bank, put it on a plane, drop it off in some undisclosed area, just parachute out of there. I think you would be able to do it, defensive back Cooper. You guys need to stop bitching about Jonathan Taves. I admire, he was the captain of a dynasty. Okay.
Who's y'all? Not me. I say he's a freaking Hall of Famer. I ain't complaining about it. He's a Hall of Famer. He is what he is.
Because I'm a cornerback and not a thug, says
There you
Tony
go.
Cheese.
There
There
you
it is. Man, we're here. Yeah, defensive back Cooper should learn from Chiefsaholic. Holy crap. That's somebody. You heard that story, right? The guy who's like the big Chiefs fan. He's robbing banks before he'd go to games and wound up getting arrested for it.
No, I think I heard about that.
Well, man, we're here at the end of the show today. Grumpy, what do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. We go live every Wednesday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see every single one of your smiling faces tomorrow at the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. That is on at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is can't miss podcast. Cannot miss YouTube. That's what that is. That is on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It's a featured page in our YouTube channel. Also, it's a feature page on our YouTube channel. Also, the link is in the description below. You can see it to where you'll get TJ and you see really small letters, the Grumpy Old Man. So don't miss out on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. Thank you so much, everybody, for commenting in, sharing your opinions and thoughts right now. Big takeaway, Islanders, we still feel confident, are going to make the postseason. Do not fret. Do not worry. Do not lose sleep. This Saturday, hopefully, we'll have good news for you after we might lose to Tampa Bay, but will beat the Philadelphia Flyers. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening and watching the show. We'll see you guys tomorrow on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. And thank you so much, Grumpy.
My pleasure.